Well, welcome everybody, those joining us virtually and in person to our October 29th Township Council meeting. We're going to begin our conference agenda tonight with a proclamation for the West Orange High School ROTC. Madam Mayor.
President. Council President, I have to do the oath.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second, Madam Mayor. Too quick.
Okay,
Can you
yeah,
open us up, Madam Clerk?
sure. This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
She's joining virtually.
She's in the process of signing on.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Scarpa? Present. Councilwoman Williams? Present. Council President Rutherford?
Here.
Mayor McCartney?
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Council colleagues, this is very exciting tonight that Air General Major Joe Marcassini here and his cadets we're gathering to celebrate a remarkable achievement by this dedicated group of young individuals who have not only represented the town with honor, but have also set an exemplary standard of excellence within the Air Force Junior ROTC community. It is with immense pride that we recognize our local Air Force Junior ROTC Unit Mountaineer Squadron for their outstanding accomplishments this year. In an era where leadership, discipline, and community service are more important than ever, our junior ROTC cadets have risen to the occasion. This year, they have earned not one, but two prestigious group awards, the Distinguished Unit with Merit Award and the Silver Star Community Service with Excellence Award. These distinctions are not simply titles, they are a testament to their hard work, dedication, and unwavering commitment to our cadets and their instructors. To put this achievement into perspective, consider this. Of the 831 Air Force and Special Force units worldwide, only 17 earned both of these awards this year. So the Distinguished Unit Merit Award is earned when the unit receives and exceeds standards ratings during a formal in-person inspection from Air Force headquarters. During this intensive look at all cadet operations and training, the unit received a perfect score. This is the second time in the West Orange Air Force Junior ROTC has won this award. The prestigious Silver Star Community Service with Excellence Award is reserved for the top 5% of all Air Force and Space Force Junior ROTC units based on the highest per capita average hours of community service to their schools and local communities. This is the first time the West Orange Air Force Junior ROTC has won this award. So tonight, as we acknowledge these young leaders today, let us also acknowledge the roles of their family, school, and the entire community for supporting their journey. The values instilled through the Air Force Junior ROTC program, integrity, respect, and service are mirrored in the heart of our town, and we are committed to support and encourage their continued growth. In closing, let us express our heartfelt congratulations to these cadets, their instructors, and their families. Your hard work and commitment to excellence and unwavering dedication have brought pride to our town. We look forward to witnessing your future endeavors and the positive impact you will continue to have on our community and beyond. And I also want to thank Councilwoman Castellino, and I saw Downtown Director Brill, when they were all members of the Board of Education, they approved this program. So we welcome them here this evening and thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So we do have certificate for that?
I know.
Yeah, please.
12 years ago.
It's a stretch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, wow. Double up? Double up maybe, or?
Yeah, double up a little bit, maybe,
Just turn a little
or
sideways.
turn sideways.
Yeah, we do the sideways. Yeah.
Do you want the rest of the lines?
Yes, yeah.
Guys, come do that.
Oh, wow, this is awesome.
This is Major Joseph Marcassini,
Oh, this is awesome.
Chief Master Sergeant Yasmin Beckman. So we have. You would like
We should sit, should we sit?
No, I want to thank you. Thanks, Mayor McCartney, for having us tonight. Thank you to the council. We're proud to be members of West Orange. Thank you to all the families who came today. Really, anything I could say, would just be praising the cadets. They win all these awards, everything that they do. As a matter of fact, I'd like to introduce our cadet commander to say a few words, Cadet Michael Greco.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you for having the West Orange AFJROTC program here tonight. It means a lot that our hard work is being recognized within the town. As you know, we won Distinguished Unit last year, and that could not have been done without each and every single member within our cadet corps. Everyone played a role in our recent inspection and also in achieving our Community Service Award. So overall, the cadets are the backbone of this program. But the cadets, their number one, the person that they go home to is their parents. So I would like to thank the parents who had their cadets in the program, because the parents are the people who bring them here, we train them up, and we couldn't do it without the cadets. So thank you, parents. And thank you for having us.
So we do have certificates prepared for each cadet. There are 53 of them here, plus an extra one for the program director. You're very welcome. You're very- Thank you.
Picture. I want you guys to get in. I'm gonna go down here. So I'll block anybody. Here, Jill, let's go here.
No, that's good. That's good. Everybody look this way. Yeah, they're up higher. Nate, Mark, see? You guys gonna stand in? Okay. Okay, everybody look this way and hold pose, because I think there's some proud parents here that want to get some pictures. Okay, all right, parents? No.
God bless us all. Great job. Keep up the great work.
Oh, good. Huh? Yeah, exactly. So.
Wow, that cleared a room quick. It's there, because their numbers dropped. They always ran around 125. They dropped them to now.
Mr. Fagan, any chance you have water and or coffee? Not right now, just
What
want
would you like?
either water and or coffee.
Do water and or
All right, can I do and, water and?
water?
Yes,
But not really like
whenever you are, whenever it's convenient.
Do you have a cup? Because
children,
Yeah.
like beating against their-
Absolutely. Yep.
do you have a cup? Because I just opened this. You can have this.
But thank you though. Well, that cleared us out. We have a presentation on Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
We do, because we're going to take every opportunity to raise awareness about early detection, and the ribbons are still here. I think they're still out on Town Hall. where the Pink Warriors came through town, that we were one of 20 stops only at the beginning of this month. Unfortunately to those that have succumbed to breast cancer, but those are survivors. And this proclamation is declaring October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And just the importance of early detection, because it says here, early detection through screening continues to be essential for improving survival rates. According to American Cancer Society, breast cancer is detected at a localized, if it's detected at a localized stage, the 5-year relative survival rate can be as high as 99%, underscoring how annual mammograms and regular self-examinations remain a highly effective screening tool. So we're taking every opportunity we can to remind people to get their annual mammograms, any type of screenings. Just yesterday, we got word that the Mayor's Wellness Program received a $10,000 grant.
Oh, nice.
So what we're doing in November for men, the same thing, men to do their screenings. We'll partner with RWJ Barnabas to do additional screenings with them and then start our winter wellness program. Okay, for Movember for men to do the same. So that this proclamation I'm going to give to the Pink Warriors to continue the charge. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Detiniak, you have a best practices survey for us?
Thank you, Council President, Council. So every year, the Division of Local Government Services requires municipalities to complete a best practices inventory. The best practices inventory, or the results of that best practices inventory, determines how much of the final 5% of the state aid payment is made to the municipality. In our case, our final 5% is worth $227,537. This year, there were 69 questions on the best practices inventory. There's 3 different types of questions. There's core competency questions that award you 1 point. There's best practices questions that award you half a point. And then there are many unscored surveys that the Division of Local Government Services uses to just gather information about its municipalities. For this year, in order to receive the full 100% of the final 5%, that $227,000 I mentioned, you had to have a score of 35. The Township of West Orange achieved a score of 41 points, giving us the full 100% of the final state aid payment. After this meeting, we will post the results of the best practice inventory questions and our responses on the Township website. I'm not going to go through all 69 questions. I will say that a lot of the unscored survey focused on affordable housing and implementation of third round. There was also some new questions on lead abatement, which the township uses LEW Environmental to do its visual inspections and lead certifications and all that. So that was really what was new for this year. A lot of the questions are repeats from prior years. And as required every year, the CFOs are required to do a discussion. So there's no action that needs to be taken, like a resolution approving this. It's just I had to discuss the results of the survey. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Detiniak. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Detiniak?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have questions for my colleagues. Do you guys recall this being presented to us in the prior years? I don't
Yeah.
recall. You do? Okay. Okay, just a question.
Every year.
Okay, I don't recall Mr. Gross presenting it, but it's a lot happening. Council liaison announcements. We will start, and Mr. Fagan is Councilwoman Geber Michael on. Can you hear us, Councilwoman?
I'm on. Good evening.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fagan. We'll start with our council liaison announcements. Councilwoman Castellino.
Sure. Thank you, Council President. So that was a great presentation with our cadets here this evening. I can't believe it was 12 years ago when that program first started. And just because we do have a couple minutes, Ms. Brill and myself, 12 years ago on a school board meeting, we had a very long meeting, and the room cleared, and there was a young man, eighth grader named Dylan Pinnell in the audience. And he came to the podium late at night around 10 o'clock, and he made a pitch for this great program that he would love to see our high school have. And that was this cadet program. And just one idea from one student just blossomed into such a great program with the help of Congressman Pascrell. He was very instrumental in bringing that to West Orange High School for us. So it's just great to see the students here this evening, and Ms. Brillant and myself can't thank the cadets enough. They are ever so helpful in volunteering, part of that community service. A lot of it, they are instrumental in helping us with the street fair, the holiday open house. They're just amazing, and you could always count on them, give them instruction, and they go. So we really appreciate their help and look forward to seeing them at our this year's holiday open house, which be the first Saturday in December. So we're looking forward to that. I want to thank Mr. Keough and the Recreation Department. They did an awesome job with our Halloween event down at Colgate Park this past Saturday night. A lot of families came down, a lot of great costumes, and a lot of fun was had. So a lot of great imaginations with these families. It was a lot of fun. The mayor's here. I'm not sure when you'll be ready to announce, but I know there's a $1 million grant coming in for Crystal Lake, compliments of the advocating of our Senator John McKeon. And so if anyone has any information on that to share with us, or when we'll have a resolution for that, that would be awesome. And also I want to thank the Downtown Alliance and the Edison Museum. They had a nice event, Halloween event too, with scary movies on this past Saturday. So that's all I have for my report, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Good evening, everyone. The Open Space and Recreation Commission's next meeting is November 7th, and the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board canceled its October meeting. So our next meeting will be held on November 13th. And that concludes my liaison announcements. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Just for everyone's knowledge, Councilwoman is sick. She alerted me earlier today that she would have to join us virtually. So thank you, Councilwoman, for not spreading the germs.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
The seniors are on the move again tomorrow night. We are going to see the community band at Liberty Middle School at 7:30. It is a free event, and I encourage everyone in our town to come out and see them. We saw them at OSPAC this summer, and they were so wonderful that the seniors asked if they could come back and see them again. So the bus is full, but if you have wheels, please join us. It's a really fun free event, and the community band could use your support. In terms of economic development, everyone's been asking me about Rock Spring, and my understanding is that we have applied for the Green Acres funding, and there are some plans to develop an RFP to work on the clubhouse, restaurant, or food for the clubhouse. If the administration wants to give us any more detail about that, that would be great, because a lot of people are asking us about it, either now or later. Yeah, great.
So at the beginning, thank you, Council. Two things. Thank you for that. The township, you all approved putting the whole 138 acres of Rock Spring Golf Club into Green Acres application. So that was approved, and we received a letter back in July that we received the first installment of $1,058,000 toward the purchase price of that project. So an RFP is pending. We're working with our planners to put out an RFP. The only thing we are going to refurbish is the clubhouse, because like I said, the entire 138 acres have been preserved by Green Acres. And Councilwoman Castellino, thank you for that other news about the $1 million. I wasn't prepared for that, but I do have an email from the Federal Funds Recovery Coordinator, Governor's Disaster Recovery Office, Office of Governor Phil Murphy, that the township was awarded $1 million American Rescue Plan State Fiscal Recovery Fund allocation for West Orange. This will be used at OSPAC. And OSPAC, we have another Green Acres application pending that will couple with this to do work about the path around actually hopefully dredge the lake, work on a path around there, do seating for OSPAC shows.
Awesome.
And yeah, and so there's the whole plan, but our engineer and our recreation director are working on that right now. Budget set forth, and this will be the deadline of expenditures. The deadline is December 30th, 2026. So, yeah, work to do, but it's all good.
Thank you
news.
so much
Yeah.
for all that
Thank you
detail.
for bringing that up.
As far as environmental issues, there's something very important on the agenda tonight in pending matters. Many of you may have realized a couple meetings ago, the stormwater management ordinance came on the agenda. I had brought Jessica Pearson, who's on the planning board of Verona, to talk to us about the importance of stormwater management and why it's important to have an ordinance that really has some teeth. I had been working on it with her for quite some time. My colleagues have seen it. The administration has seen it. I spoke with legal today. We do need to get our engineering department to take a better look at it and get on board. And Jessica has actually offered to do a presentation for us, for anyone in the administration, answer any questions about why each of the amendments that we're proposing are so important for our residents. Many of you know that Love Gillard came for practically a year, who had a lot of flooding at her home due to maintenance related to stormwater management. And if we don't have good maintenance procedures in place, everything else we do is kind of a moot point. The other thing that's so important about that is we needed to include minor development, not just major development. I worked with a constituent of ours, a resident, Ed, and I want to thank him for contacting me almost 8 months ago with the problems he was having of the flooding of his basement, just as a result of a neighbor putting in a fence that didn't have like the proper management or the proper procedures. And this caused all kinds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. And this is happening all around our town. We have to remember that we are a township of beautiful hills and valleys. And everywhere we turn, there are flooding issues. So I promised Ed and I promised our friends from Ron Jolene, who came last week, that I would do everything I could, and I hope my council colleagues will join me in making sure that we have a stormwater ordinance that protects all of us. So I don't know who's sticking around to the end of the evening, but if you don't get it on tape, if you're not here, or if you don't stick around, because it's a very, very important discussion that we'll be having. And that's about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. Hello, West Orange. Just wanted to bring to your attention that the Municipal Alliance Committee met last week, and they were primary information was discussing the allocation or reallocation of opioid funding and how that would be distributed. The Arts Center Gallery also met, and a new exhibit is forthcoming. And the Historic Preservation Commission also met since our last meeting. And there was a presentation from Mr. James Howard about the Black Inventors Hall of Fame Museum. Presentation discussed the project that is taking over and under contract at Mayfair Farms. And that completes the end of my liaison reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Joint meeting, I don't recall if I announced this last meeting or not. Joint meeting has substantially completed our work on the budget. For those that don't know, the joint meeting is our sewer commission. 14 member municipalities collaborate to handle sanitary sewer together. The budget is going up 3.56% this year, which I think is, I thought that was a great job. As you can tell, the budget is on time because it's not due until January, so that work is done. It included a negotiated pay raise for all of the employees of 3.25%, and it is less than CPI. I would hope that we can do a little bit better with our budget here, recognizing the challenges that we do face as a municipality, but getting things done on time or early certainly does give you a few more options than being up against the clock. Tomorrow night, there is a special meeting for the planning board. We are looking at the West Essex Highlands development. For those of you that are interested or affected, please make sure you go by the township website to either get the Zoom instructions. If you cannot attend, I think that one may be in person. Yeah, so it will be in person. If you want to comment, you'll have to be in person to comment. And yeah, we're dealing with West Essex Highlands tomorrow. I don't think there was anything on insurance this month, at least that I can recall. And I wanted to know, Councilwoman Scarpa, when is the next Economic Development Committee meeting?
We had one I missed last week, but I think it's not going to be till next month now.
I didn't see it on for November, but maybe I missed it. All right. That concludes my council liaison announcements too, and it's only 7:03. So we're doing pretty good on time. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 21st, 2023, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on November 30th, 2023. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Present.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Present.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Council President Rutherford?
Here.
Mayor McCartney? Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The council is now in their public meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are going to begin with public comment.
Comcast that's on the agenda. Karen Mastriano, who's here, she's gonna take about.
Oh, I do see that.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Welcome.
Yeah, I did send an email, but.
Right here is fine. Mr. Fagan, if you don't mind. Thank you, sir.
Say hello to Mayor McCartney, Council President Rutherford, and the governing body. And Ms. Carnival, who's been helping me this month and beyond.
Yeah.
My name is Karen Mastriano. I am the Director of Government Affairs and Regulatory Affairs for Comcast. I'm here tonight to renew your present Comcast franchise. And I have a statement that I'm going to read into the record. And I'm here to answer any questions or concerns you might have with our cable franchise. Plus, we are in the final stages of the cable television franchise renewal process, which is governed by both federal and state statutes and regulations. Comcast began the renewal process on or about October 10th, 2021. By sending a letter to the borough indicating our intention to seek renewal of our non-exclusive franchise under Section 626A of the Cable Communication Policy Act of 1984 and 1996. Following the state's timeline, Comcast filed an application for renewal of municipal consent on or about April 11th, 2024. The application has been available for public inspection in the clerk's office. Tonight's hearing is on that application. No action of the council is required this evening. However, tonight's hearing is an opportunity to hear from the governing body and the public. The governing body must judge our application on the following 4 criteria. Have we complied with the terms of the existing franchise? Has the quality of service
signal quality, response to consumer complaints, and billing practices been reasonable in light of community needs? Does Comcast have the technical, financial, and legal ability to provide service as proposed? Is our proposal reasonable in order to meet the future cable-related needs and interests of the community? Two things the governing body may not consider in deciding to renew or deny renewal are rates. These are governed by the state and federal statute, not a municipal decision. And programming. The cable operator's channel lineup is protected by the First Amendment, just as the newspaper content is. And that is my statement. I'm free to answer any questions you may have, concerns, or suggestions. From the governing body first.
Colleagues, nothing for me?
No, I mean, I would expect administration to comment. I assume you.
Questions before we ask them?
My question would be, if there were complaints, how would
Yeah.
we know that they exist as the governing body?
That we have a complaint line and they would, if you called into the Board of Public Utilities, they would contact us. I have received no complaints.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I also want to share with you our, I'm not sure to give it to, so we have an affordable internet program, so you can hold on to those, keep them there. If you need more brochures, I'm happy to hand them to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the affordability is based on income requirements?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that available? It's just available to anyone who meets the income
Yeah,
cap?
absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
And I'm happy to give you more information if you have someone that needs it, we can help them out.
Do you have a card or other contact
You know,
information for us?
I put them on my desk and I left without them, and I apologize, but Karen knows how to reach me. Yeah, I apologize for that.
That's all right.
I thought about it driving there, I'm like, no, I can't turn around. But, we're happy to have your municipality, and I am so proud to see the cadets walk in. My daughter is a West Point grad and
Oh,
she
nice.
recruits in North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
So I sent a picture to her, she goes, she knew exactly an ROTC program.
Yeah,
I said, yeah, 56, that's a pretty good number for kids.
Yeah.
we have 110 in the
Impressive.
program, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
impressive for today's children. I think this is a good
Yeah.
program, which showed you have a great community.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank
very
you.
impressive. Absolutely, I have a statement, I did take a picture. Oh, no.
Before you go, were there any questions from those that are present? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
very much. I have a parent's too, that's
Okay,
the
thank
statement for the record.
Perfect,
And your attorney?
Mr. Moon.
Over there, okay, I just have a draft. Copy for him, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doing great. Thank you, nice to see you. Last time Karen and I met, we had an earthquake and we were on the same page.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to forget. Have a good night.
Good night.
Mr. Fagan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Council President. I apologize. I'm having some technical difficulties tonight. I'm going to try and work through them.
No worries.
I want to return to this logo here from the ROTC. And it's important to note that there's two symbols in this logo that might be misunderstood. And they are the West Orange High School Cowboys and the Mountain Rams, which were the two high schools in West Orange. And they both comprise an important component of that logo, as they do the West Orange High School logo. I'm often asked about this, what do these things represent? And there's your answer. It's often stated too that the two former high schools are forgotten, and they are not forgotten, and they never were intended to be forgotten. There are four Rams right here.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm also a Mountain Ram.
That's right.
But the Cowboys is first in the logo.
The Cowboy is first in the logo, and I might point out, being we're having this debate, that the West Orange Cowboys actually derived their name from a stockyard that actually existed across from Town Hall on Main Street. So it wasn't just a random choice. It actually has historical significance.
And I was a cowboy.
Don't worry, we just pushed you along.
Moving along, the mayor has open office hours on November 7th. I can't believe it's November already. And Mayor also asked me to point out that the West Orange Public Library is seeking trustee candidates. You can find the application at WOPL.org. That, of course, is the website for the library. The library trustees usually meet on the fourth Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Of course, you can contact Dave Kuby as well. There's also job opportunities that are listed on westorange.org, and you can find this by going to the Departments tab at the top, and then just finding your way down to the Human Resources and Employment Opportunities. They will be listed. I believe it was updated. I believe there is a keyboard clerk and truck driver with a CDL, and there might be other things. I spoke to Kate Davenport this afternoon, and she said the list is going to be updated. Yesterday was First Responders Day, October 28th. So I just want to give a shout out of gratitude to our many first responders that help keep our town safe, and of course, first responders everywhere. There is currently a high risk of wildfire due to dry conditions. There are some public safety tips listed at westorange.org. I'm not going to read through this list. There are more on the website. Really, it's common sense. I think the most important thing is never use gasoline to start a fire in a fire pit or a fireplace. But if you have time, you should, it would be prudent to check through these on the website and just familiarize yourself with them. Of course, you may have heard about the Livingston wildfire. As of this afternoon, it was still only 90% contained, but that's an upgrade from 60%. I believe it encompassed over 190 acres.
Wow.
And I am told that smoke will be in the area until we have the first rainfall. So the roads are open through the area, but it's a great, I point this out, obviously this is a neighboring community, but this is a great reminder for us here in West Orange. Also, the fire department has issued an advisory based on a New Jersey statewide ban for recreational fires. The fire department was receiving a lot of phone calls about fire pits, and it is not recommended at this time that fire pits be used because of the dry conditions. I have this slide up here because we keep getting calls about streetlight outages. Once again, you can report it to PSE&G directly. The municipal DPW is not in charge of changing the streetlights. This information is on the website. Also, early voting for West Orange Township residents. The polling, the location for early voting is at the South Mountain Recreation Complex, and that's from October 26th to November 3rd. We have a general election coming up, actually a week from today. But this is just for early voting. This is not your normal polling place if you're a West Orange resident. And I also was informed this afternoon that if you're a senior 60 years plus needing transportation to early voting or general election polls, that you can call senior transport at 973-325-4134. This information is on the website. Generally speaking, they need 24 hours in advance. And if you need a ride to the general election on November 5th, you must register by this Friday, November 1st. And as I say, the number is 973-325-4134. The West Orange leaf collection procedure, this is also posted on the website. We're getting calls on this, and that information is posted on the website. I reported this at the last meeting about the outfall inspections. Actually, it's beginning this week, October 28th. Inspections will only take place during regular business hours, and so you may see personnel walking across your property to get to riverbanks and waterways. They will be wearing safety vests and carrying electronics to record data. Governor Murphy visited West Orange last week. He was here to announce the awarding of a grant to Kids Place 2 on Watchung Avenue. I believe the mayor was there, and the governor spoke of more grants that will be coming along these lines. I believe Councilwoman Scarpa mentioned a free concert tomorrow night at Liberty Middle School, West Orange Community Band. And just in case anybody in the audience is contemplating going, I will not be singing, so it is safe to go to this. West Orange municipal offices will be closed on Veterans Day, November 11th. There will be regular jitney service, regular garbage recycling schedule. And of course, there it will be our annual Veterans Day ceremony in front of Town Hall. It's actually at Veterans Plaza, which is in front of police headquarters. It's on November 11th at 11 a.m. And that, of course, signify the historic significance of that is that was the armistice that ended World War I. The 11th hour, the 11th day on the 11th month. Tax sale of delinquent taxes for 2023 and prior years will be an online auction November 15th. The list of properties is on the website. Diwali 2024 begins on Friday and extends to Saturday. Now, last month, there was a celebration at the high school for this, but this is the actual holiday. This is a brochure from Turtleback Zoo when it opened in 1964. And I'm using this as a segue to demonstrate that when the zoo opened, it was primarily a petting zoo, but there was also tortoise rides, turtle rides, as we call them. Well, this past August, this summer, there was a fire at the sea turtle exhibit. And the West Orange Fire Department responded, and Essex County Executive showed his appreciation by offering a subsequent tour for the fire department and their families, and was also sent a thank you. And the West Orange Fire Department, according to Chief Vecchio, has officially adopted Pickles, I believe, is the name of the turtle, as their mascot, as a result of this fortunate or unfortunate event that turned out with a happy ending. November 2nd, fall back, turn the clocks back 1 hour overnight. We are approaching that time of year.
I need that.
Halloween safety tips. You may have heard Halloween is this week. So there are some safety tips. You know, it's a fun-filled festival event, but we don't want to overlook some obvious safety tips, and they're on the website. And the annual St. Cloud Halloween Parade is Thursday, October 31st. This is rain or shine. This information is on our social media. This is occurring in, obviously, the St. Cloud neighborhood. And, you know, this is Halloween, so I was able to dig up this picture from Mountain High School. We talked about that earlier. And there may or may not be a future council member in that picture. It's really hard to tell. I'm not going to point out who it is. I'll let that person describe themselves right there. No, we're talking about
I don't look that
Minnie
good.
Mouse.
Where?
Minnie Mouse, the arrow.
Right there?
Right there, yes.
Yeah.
That is Minnie Mouse. She
A
was on
homemade
loan
house, that's a
from,
homemade special.
and
I did wonders with felt back then. That's you?
as we conclude tonight, and this being Halloween, Council President, I wanted to point out a mysterious thing that has been happening here in council chambers. And you all look at the back of the room, you see the portrait of the Simone Rollinson. He had 42 years of faithful service to the people of West Orange, and that picture has been there since 1937. And as you know, I spend a lot of time in council chambers here, and they say if you look at his eyes, they actually follow you around the room. So he is back there and he is watching over us.
Looks like he could be in with us one.
Yeah. I hope they're. As you know, there is no public comment from the Zoom audience at tonight's
You're
meeting.
funny, Jeff.
And you can contact all township council members via email at council@westorange.org. I believe, Council President, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Mr. Puglisi.
Can you top that?
Thank you. First, next time. It's a hard act to follow. Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. Want to thank Joe for giving most of my report tonight. I just want to add with the Sea Turtle Recovery Building, that was actually the first day that the building was reopened. The firefighters and their families were invited to come in before the zoo opened.
Right.
So they were the first people to see the building before the public. And I know the county executive had sent a letter to the chief thanking the firefighters for their quick and professional response. And really, we would not have been able to reopen that building so quickly if it hadn't been for the heroic acts of the fire department. So we thank you for that. You had one slide for me. You had the November 9th is our household hazardous waste collection day. It is a little later than in previous years, and that was just because of scheduling. So it is November 9th. Information is there on the screen, 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. A lot of items in your household have chemicals that should not be thrown in the garbage. So if you look at the list on that flyer, those are the things that you can bring to the event. That is on our website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org. And I just want to say that in a couple weeks, I know Joe had said it's hard to believe that November is almost here, but that means it's also the arrival of the holiday lights spectacular at Turtleback Zoo. That begins the week before Thanksgiving and goes until December 31st. As always, we are collecting new unwrapped toys, used winter coats, and of course, non-perishable food items to help families in need. I know the Community Food Bank relies on the donations that we collect at the zoo. They say we're one of the largest collectors at this time of year. So you can get free admission to the zoo, but we do ask that you bring something to help out the less fortunate. And again, in a couple of days, that will be on the website. It's not there yet. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Puglisi.
I have a question.
Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Puglisi. I just have a question regarding latex paint. I know it's one of the items that you all don't accept. Do you know where you can discard that? I get that question a lot.
You have to do is leave the lid off and let the paint dry, and you can put it in the regular garbage.
Thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, sir. We're going to open public comment to those that are joining us in person. If you'd like to address the town council, now is your chance. Please approach the microphone at your convenience. State your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Fagan. Yes. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Joe Kukoviak, Grandview Avenue. I've expressed my opinion with supporting fact that the downtown redevelopment phase 2 project in its current form is a terrible deal for residents. I've sought more transparency for the potential for multi-million-dollar losses from the financial decisions made by the 3 council members who have voted to move this project forward. A missing element has been the absence of the public disclosure of appraisals of the project properties, despite my request to the council. I filed an Open Public Records Act request on September 8th and finally received a response October 21st. I now have the August 2021 appraisal for 55 Lakeside Avenue. It represented about 90% of the assessed value of the properties you 3 council members approved buying a few weeks later for $12.5 million to settle litigation with the defaulted redeveloper Prism. You voted to borrow that $12.5 million. We now know that 55 Lakeside was appraised at $6.13 million after accounting for demolition and removal costs for the building there. That's less than half of the total settlement costs for the building there. I'm sorry, that's less than half of the total settlement purchase price. I also applied the ratio of the assessed values to the 8 properties in the sale to the price. In that comparison, 55 Lakeside made up nearly 90% of the price at just under $11 million. That clearly indicates the council agreed to pay nearly $5 million more than the township's own appraisal said that property was worth. My questions to the three current council members who voted for this transaction are, did you review this appraisal before you approved the settlement, the purchase of the property, and the borrowing to fund it? If you did review the appraisal beforehand, then why did you agree to overpay by such a huge amount? If you didn't see the appraisal first, then why did you make it such a huge decision without insisting on seeing it? Do you now have the appraisal? And if so, when did you receive it and who provided it to you? The Oprah response also included a non-appraisal called a consulting assignment from November 2023. That again was a few weeks before the three council members approved the redevelopment agreement to accept $10.8 million for the sale of 55 Lakeside and 25 Lakeside, which is the home of the Public Works and Animal Shelter facilities. This analysis valued the two properties at nearly $11.6 million after demolition and removal costs. $8.5 million for Lakeside, 55 Lakeside, and $3.1 million for 25 Lakeside. That valuation indicates that the value of 55 Lakeside rose nearly 39% from the appraisal over a little more than 2 years. That's impressive appreciation and something I would think responsible council members would question, especially since the higher valuation was not done on a true appraisal. My question to the three council members who approved this transaction are, did you review this consulting assignment analysis before you approved the redevelopment agreement? If so, then why did you agree to accept roughly $800,000 less than the analysis indicated the properties were worth, especially when the township is going to have to absorb the substantial costs of relocating the two facilities? If you didn't see it, then why did you make such a monumental decision without insisting on seeing it? Do you now have this non-appraisal? And if so, when did you receive it and who provided it to you? Lastly, are you curious why the administration didn't get a full-blown appraisal instead? The three approvers have talked about how the redeveloper's payment of $400,000 to continue the approval process somehow offsets the loss of property tax revenue from your decision to buy all these properties when the state law specifically does not require municipalities to buy property in redevelopment zones. First, $200,000 of that amount is subject to return if the town council doesn't agree to tax breaks. And let me explain how wrong you are about how the loss of this property tax revenue is hurting the township's finances and those of the taxpayers who have to make up that loss. Since the township's purchase in February 2022 and through the end of this year, we will have lost more than $902,000 in taxes from 55 Lakeside alone. And we will have lost more than $126,000 more from the other properties that you agreed to purchase. So that's more than $1 million that we've lost from your decision to buy these properties. So I think it's wholly appropriate for you to stop saying that the redeveloper's $400,000 somehow balances this lost revenue. Relative to this ever-rising loss of property taxes, now that you have said that the environmental remediation here could cost $5 million or even more, how long do you estimate will it take to sell the properties to the redeveloper and return them back to the tax rolls? How long to the start of construction on the proposed studio? I assume you've done these estimates from your repeated claims that we must build something new now, something transformative because the merchants and residents downtown must have it. So when I say you three are responsible for this multi-million-dollar loss, I'm adding the $5 million overpayment just for 55 Lakeside, the acceptance of about $800,000 less for the two properties, and the $1 million in lost property taxes. So I'd appreciate you answering my questions without the use of the word misinformation, unless you specify your claim so that I can have the chance.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Anyone else for public comment?
Good evening, council members. James Jackson, 1 Ashley Road, West Orange, New Jersey. Good evening. I am here, as you all know, CEO of Yerkana LLC. Today, we successfully submitted our final application for final approval of cannabis business here in the Township of West Orange. We are super excited to come before you all, hopefully sooner than later. I dropped things off at Karen today. I know they've been sent to Chief already. And I know everyone is busy. Just asking for your eyes to take a look at the application when you have a chance. Hoping that we could be on the next council meeting so that we can move forward. Again, give this council a lot of credit as we do have our first cannabis business open in town, which is a huge accomplishment. But you know, I would like to now be the cultivator that supplies those businesses in town, and more businesses that will continue to open. So we look forward to the opportunity to come here in front of you all, and look forward to the opportunity to be excellent community members serving the community. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing no one, I want to thank both of you for your comment tonight. We're now going to close public comment. We'll start in reverse order with our responses. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today and coming and sharing your concerns and thoughts. Mr. Jackson, look forward to reviewing that application. Mr. Kukoviac, you have a tremendous amount of detailed questions, and I think it be best that our administration respond to those questions if you all can, whether it be the mayor or our BAs or our CFO. Thank you.
Councilwoman Scarpa.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jackson, for coming. And of course, we will take a look at your application. And Mr. Kukoviac, once again, thank you for enlightening us, and I hope you get all your questions answered.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Geber Michael.
Good evening, everyone. To those of you in council chambers and those of you online, I would like to thank Mr. Kukoviac for his advocacy and your questions. I look forward to hearing the answers. And then to James, Mr. Jackson, thank you. I look forward to reading your application. Hopefully get this done, then you can open up your business. It's a long time standing, and I'm excited, and I wish you all the best. Thank you all, and that concludes my response to public comment.
Thank you, Councilwoman Castellino.
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Jackson, congratulations. You're moving forward. I'll look forward to reading the application when Madam Clerk sends it to us. And good luck with the rest of the process. Okay, Mr. Kukoviac, we had a fun time last night at the debate, and I always appreciate your advocating for the taxpayers in the township, as we all do up here. So let's start with the $900,000. Mr. Detiniak, I know I had spoken to you, that covers all the properties, not just the 55 Lakeside, correct? Isn't everything under the one sum?
Well, there's the smaller vacant lots that I think make up what Mr. Kukoviac said is the 2022 to 2024, 100 and something thousand. Yeah, we had talked about sort of a 1 year amount on those smaller properties, but 55 Lakeside, yeah, is the largest generator of tax, or was the largest generator of tax of the
and all the more reason I was advocating for all the properties to get bought from Matrix. So this way we could get all those properties back on the tax rolls, because it is costing the taxpayers each year. But again, why we went into the purchase and to buy it, you yourself was advocating way back when that Prism, we should default them from being the redeveloper. And we did so. We went to court and we came to the numbers, the appraisal reports. Not that we went over them one by one in closed session, but there were summaries that we discussed with the redeveloper when we were in closed session. And then again, this was, court mandated the price, I believe. Then our councilwoman, our mayor, who was our councilwoman then, and the council president at the time, Councilwoman Matu Brown, went to court to get this purchase price where we stood. So again, we got to get this developed. The longer this sits there, you're right, it costs the taxpayers money. This property's been going back to 2006 when, residents put lawsuits on the transaction when it was the Edison Lofts, and we keep trying to get this move forward. So the misrepresentations that I don't appreciate is that this needs to get done and needs to move forward. The numbers, I'm going to have the administration go over that, but the $400,000 is applied to those figures. And you need to take that into consideration because that's a real number. That's money we did receive towards this from Matrix. And hopefully all is well and said, we'll have this project going within 2 years. Environmentals are being done now. The state, I've asked for us to get a letter in writing for the 5 million for the grant. We had conversations with Senator John McKeon. He came through with this other grant for us. I don't see any reason why we're not going to receive the grant that we also applied for. And anything above that, I'll credit Councilman, my council president here. He had advocated that anything above the 5 million that we split with the developer, and we had gotten that in the contract. Councilman Rutherford was successful with that. So, yeah, I'm going to let administration answer the rest of the questions because there's some details that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Council President?
Thank you.
You want to add?
Yeah, sure, of course. Thank you, Councilwoman. Before I turn it to the administration for a response from them as well, do want to thank both Mr. Fagan and Mr. Puglisi for your timely announcements and community information. As always, Mr. Jackson, we're excited to have a cultivator in town. We're looking forward to moving through the process as expeditiously as possible. And so that is my commitment to you and to every cannabis license applicant in the township of West Orange. We certainly do need to, help make sure these businesses get open so that they can both be successful and the township can receive some revenue. Mr. Kukoviac, so my colleague spoke a little bit about the reason why the court hearing where we were and back and forth with PRISM. I think you're very well aware of that. And I'll let the administration speak to that more fully when they have an opportunity. But to your specific question, was the appraisal review, we sat in executive session with the attorneys that handled this for us, and they gave us a full presentation of the entire financial aspect of the project that we used in that executive session to make our decision. And I rely on that, and I don't think to this very minute that either of them were misleading us in any way, shape, or form. So while I did not actually see the appraisal, I relied on the information provided to me by the attorneys. And again, I think they've done an outstanding job, and I stand by that. How long till we sell it? We just voted on, was it 2 meetings ago, purchase and sale agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah, recently, within the last month or so, we voted on a purchase and sale agreement. It is going to take some time, but the expectation is that within the next 18 months, there will be a closing. Well, that's my expectation. I don't know what my colleagues have or what the administration has or what the developer has. But based on my understanding of what's needed within the next 18 months, there will be a closing. The 400,000 that you referenced as not being sufficient, these developers didn't own the property, didn't have rights to develop the property until last year. So they're not going to pay for prior years when they had no right and no involvement. And they're paying more than the 300,000 approximately that we would have received in property taxes. That is something that has been stated from this podium countless times. To the extent that the second $200,000 payment is refundable, either you're mistaken or you're intentionally misleading the public. The 200,000 is not refundable if we don't give them a pilot. It's if we unreasonably deny it, and that is in the language, right? And I see you laughing. I'm glad you find it funny. This is a legal matter. There are certain things we can do, certain things we can't do. And if we unreasonably deny them a pilot, then they would have an argument for the 200,000. And I think that's fair. If we unreasonably deny them, and that language is in the agreement that you referenced, tonight, last meeting, and the meeting before. So if you don't like that it's in there, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but just don't mislead the public into thinking that if we don't give them a pilot, they get the $200,000 back. And then I would like to understand, like, do you want them to have a pilot or not? Because you're making an argument on both sides. On the one side, you're saying the $200,000 is not enough. In the last deal, we got zero, right? And we were getting zero before we had the last deal as well. But the 200,000 is not enough, but you're gonna have to give it back. But we don't want them to have a pilot, but we don't want to give back the 200,000. I mean, you can't have it on both sides. So either you are for a pilot, a reasonable pilot, right? Or you're not. You're either for getting a payment for the right to develop, or you're not. Either way is fine. Just don't argue against both sides of that same thing. And you understand as a former councilman how we have to make decisions to move this township forward. And you know what? I've said this ad nauseum also. I did not like how we got there. The difference between you and I, Mr. Krakowiak, is that if I have a set of bad options, right? I'm not gonna hold the town hostage or burn the town down and not select one if the option includes, if all of those options are bad, right? I'm not gonna have them start over. Why am I not gonna do that? Because in the process, we have timetables. We have money that's coming in and money that's going out. We've been paying debt on that since we bought it 2 years ago. We've been foregoing property taxes for 2 years. We needed to do something. Was it right to do it without an RFP? No, we should have had an RFP. I've said that a million times. I told the mayor if she didn't have an RFP, it was going to be a problem. And it is a problem. But because she didn't do it the right way, if it's still a good project, I'm going to vote for it. Not because it's good for me, not because it's good for her, but because it's good for West Orange, right? And sometimes, Mr. Krakowiak, you got to put the needs of the people, the greater good, above your own. And that's something I think all of us need to do. But you in particular, sir, because you try to use these things politically to bludgeon people on both sides of the same argument. So again, should we have done an RFP? Of course, but we didn't. And then we had an opportunity to, one, get some revenue to cover the taxes, and two, get the property cleaned up, and three, have a movie studio that's going to have 500 or 600 permanent jobs, have the set-asides for local hires, have the traffic that our local foot traffic that our local businesses need, that they've been begging for decades, right? So while you don't want to do those kinds of things to help people, while it's not in your interest to help Main Street, it is in mine. Now, I'm happy to have the administration respond. And I think I answered the ones that I can answer. Mr. Abbott or Mayor, feel free to respond to Mr. Krakowiak.
I don't know, Anthony thought Joe was a hard act to follow. My work's cut out here. All right, so we have a appraisal from 2021, and we have a report prepared by Mark Hendricks in November of 23, which is a value opinion for all the prison parcels acquired by the township, as well as the DPW. The 2021 appraisal was prepared for possible condemnation purposes, which did not proceed after litigation ensued with Prism, which was settled, resulting in the township securing all of the Prism-owned properties for $12.5 million and settling all claims Prism had against the township and other parties, which was alleged to be $50 million. So that was the exposure we were facing, $50 million in damages. Looking solely at the 2021 appraisal of $6,130,000, it could be argued that the township overpaid substantially. But the $12.5 million included additional Prism parcels with the collective appraised value, including Barton, of $7,410,000. Additionally, the township retained $650,000 in funds from the sale for environmental remediation, bringing the net amount paid to $8,060,000. The $4.4 million difference would have to be attributed to avoidance of costly and protracted litigation. Again, we're facing $50 million in exposure, with possible exposure to substantial damages, which, assuming successfully defended, would be followed by the time and expense of condemnation proceedings to acquire the properties. The subsequent agreement to convey Barton Press and DPW to Matrix for $10.8 million was supported by the Hendricks report. The report somewhat undercuts the argument that the township overpaid Prism, as it concludes that Barton was worth $10,440,000 and the Ashland parcels were worth $2,420,000 for a total value of the Prism properties $12,860,000. But it has to be adjusted to $10,840,000, however, because there are demolition costs that aren't factored in otherwise. So I was down at the court. Judge Moore mediated this. We had, premier counsel from Lentz. We had financial consultants. The council was privy to all this in executive session. I think the best deal that could have been made was made. As far as doing an RFP, we could kick that back and forth all day, but you know what? We did an RFP and we really got nothing. We got Michael Wexler and Jonathan Rose want to only develop this if they can develop their own properties that they already own. And Albert only wants to do an affordable piece. So, we did an RFP and we really got no response. So I'm not sure we would have got one for the filming studio. Maybe we would have, maybe we wouldn't have. But I won't go as far as to say it was done wrong because the law allows for the township to select a developer. So again, differences of opinions, agree to disagree. Maybe it could have been done differently and it wasn't, but I wouldn't say it was done wrong.
So I just want to follow that with, because I was not clear in this whole statement I had about bad options. Let me give you a better example. This was an example of not appreciating the process, right? We should have done saying it was a wrong process. That may not be legally correct, but yes, we should have had an RFP. At the point where we were confronted with a decision, it was either make the decision and go forward with these guys or tell them goodbye, right? And then start the process over and possibly get something and possibly not. And in the meantime, continue paying the debt and foregoing any property taxes that we would have gotten. That was the downside when we were presented with it. I didn't like how we got to that decision, but I wasn't going to kill it because I didn't like the way they did it. I can criticize it. I have plenty of ammunition. At the end of the day, it was still the best deal for the town. I'll give you another example, because this is something that you did with the debt, Mr. Krakowiak. Your argument was that we should not have voted for a 5.8% increase in property taxes last year. You said we should not have voted for a 5.8% increase in property taxes last year. And again, I didn't like that it was late. I didn't like that we started out at 16%. I didn't like that we had to forego promotions and forego filling open positions in order to get to 5.8%. But those were the options that we were faced with. And if we did not vote then, we would have given the county the ability to tell us what our budget would be. Now, that's something you may have thought was a good idea. That's not something I think is a good idea, because there are two outcomes that are likely. One, it's not likely to be the same thing that we voted on, because we wouldn't have voted. One, it would have been higher than 5.8, in which case residents would have had to pay more. The other is it would have been lower than 5.8, which means we would have had to lay off township employees. Neither of those were acceptable to me. So sometimes leadership requires making a tough call and taking a tough vote. This development was one of them. But it was done in the best interest of West Orange, and I hope you can accept that answer for the 50th time. Councilman Castellino.
Sorry for
No, go ahead.
I think it's important too, folks. I mean, again, it's election time, so we're always going to have rhetoric. But we all have to be mindful of investors looking in at us in West Orange. The downtown has suffered for many years. It's been trying to get something big, something transformable, and this is it. And right out of the gate, the next day, our downtown PR agency, they had dropped a press release because it's important that we get this positive information out there. Why? Because that brings in other investors. Downtown is constantly getting criticized for, oh, well, we need more restaurants, we need more shops. Well, how do you think they're all coming here? There needs to be positive energy and information out there. And for investors to want to come here to West Orange. Here we have Matrix Developers who's doing the build out for Lionsgate in Newark. Great opportunity for the township. And what did I hear last night at a debate? The three of us, we just got hammered for this transaction. It just bewilders me how there can't be more support in this community for us to move forward. We just got out of COVID. Everybody forgets 4 years ago was COVID, the beginnings of COVID. This town was crippled from COVID. We're finally crawling out. This is the first year our school children feel that they're away from COVID. And our business owners, and they're still feeling the pinch from the economy. We need to be more supportive in what we do here. And Chief did a great job explaining this. These are complicated transactions. We sit hours in closed sessions through the year. So these aren't decisions made in a vacuum. And what's disappointing, sir, you know this because you've been a part of this. And so next week, if you do get elected, I hope, you may not have the luxury anymore of just voting no on items. We really need to move this community forward. And I hope we're going to be able to do that. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome, Councilwoman Williams, and then Mr. Ravitch. It's all right, Williams.
Thank you. I just wanted to make this public statement as well regarding the movie studio. Those areas, those plots of land have sat vacant for 20 years. As a real estate professional, people who are looking for properties and they're vacant ones, they find them. The town doesn't have to do anything to solicit business if it's a viable property. And the fact that this town and this administration and us as elected officials have decided to move forward with the purchase of these properties and selling these properties and this opportunity that will transform our community, it's extremely disappointing to understand that you are doubling down that this isn't the best opportunity for this town. It's quite frightening because we have an election in 7 days. And it's very clear that there are candidates who want to move West Orange forward, who want to transform our community, and there are those that are willing to stop it in mid-sentence. It is very unfortunate. I don't understand, as a person who has sat in this seat, why you continue to get in front of the microphone and ask us the very questions that you know the policy and the process and how it occurs. For 10 years, you sat on the council. You remind us of that information constantly. And you know that each of us does not make those decisions in a vacuum. You know that we have professionals. You know that we went into executive session. You were here. You know the reason why we went into executive session, because it has to be disclosed. So for you to contemplate that when, what information did we have? You know the process. It's disingenuous. It's not fair for the public for you to do that. Even if you don't agree with the project, we are here. It is a good project, and it is and will transform our community. Sometimes I wonder, is there a contingent of residents in this town that want us to stay stagnant, that don't want to see West Orange grow? It's extremely disappointing, and I would expect better especially from someone who has sat in this seat and knows how dire it is for our community to stay stagnant. I'm glad that you all find this so humorous. I'm glad that you do. It speaks volumes because I don't take the welfare and the benefit of the residents of West Orange for granted, nor do I take my children's future as a joke. That's whose lives we're impacting here. This is going to change West Orange for our children's children. And I wish that both of you would take it a little bit more seriously. Thank you, Council President.
Mr. Abbott?
Thank you. So, former councilman, nobody was more critical of the Parisi administration for not defaulting on PRISM. This is what you asked for. We did it. This was the outcome. You're an intelligent man. There's no way you would have thought for 1 minute that we weren't going to be sued if we did that. But we were sued, and it was for $50 million. So, you know, I don't know if that's a be careful what you wish for, but that's what you wished for. You got it. And to, you know, just to piggyback on Councilwoman Williams, you know, governing's not an easy thing. I said that when I was here at the last meeting. It's difficult. There's difficult decisions. You were the council representative to the West Essex Highlands. You learn. Okay, well, I it was my understanding you told your council colleagues that was the best deal we were going to get. And your DNA and your fingerprints were all over it, but you know, I guess it's a joke name.
Let's maintain decorum. Let's maintain.
You know,
decorum.
my point is that I'm sure it will.
One second, Mr. Abbott, 1 second. So let's maintain decorum, please. Thank you, Mr. Abbott.
So my point was not to criticize the decision or the decisions of that council or the planning board or anybody else. It was that I believe that when you came back and informed your colleagues that this was the best deal they were going to get, you believed that. And it probably was. I mean, so we've risked being sued for $50 million, protracted litigation, and, you know, having this sit dormant for another 20 years, or making the move and spending some money and getting it done. I think the council made the right decision. I stand behind it.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. So I think we've addressed that adequately. I do want to just circle back to one other thing. I'm grateful that the mayor spoke up about Rock Spring and the upgrades to the clubhouse, or potential upgrades to the clubhouse. Just want to say that that is something that Councilwoman Geber Michael and me have advocated for years, 2 years, right? Prior council advocated for preserving that property for multiple years. And yes, we are here now, but let's be clear about how we got here. It took a lot of prodding and poking and advocacy and conversation from the town council to get us to the point where we would do that. Otherwise, we would have housing on that property today. Yeah. All right. So I think that's it for public comment. Anything else before we close? Madam Clerk.
Okay, time to review the consent agenda. I'm sorry, approval of minutes of previous meeting, public meeting, October 8th, 2024, and executive session minutes of September 24th, 2024, and October 8th, 2024.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. Bill list. Are there any questions on the bills?
No, consent.
Consent. Resolutions, are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
Yes. I would like to pull 292. I have a question on that.
Okay.
You have you're pulling it for the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, also question and to make one amendment.
Okay. Anything else being pulled, colleagues?
No, I have a question on 298-24, but I'm not pulling it. I'm going to vote.
I have a question on 298.
I also have a question on 304 and 305, not to pull.
Okay, questions? Anything else, colleagues?
No, I had asked all my questions today.
I've got a question on 308. And just so that I'm clear, Councilwoman Scarpa, you have a question on 298?
Yes.
Okay, I think, is that it?
I don't have anything.
So 292, 298, 304, 305, and 308?
Correct.
All right.
And 292 was pulled. The others are just questions.
Well, I'm pulling 308 also.
Oh, okay.
All right, so do you want to address your questions now? And then we can vote on the consent?
Councilwoman Scarpa, you pulled 298-24, resolution authorizing approval of helicopter landing at Seton Hall Prep.
Yeah, I just wanted a little bit more detail. I understand it appears that they have coaching staff coming in from Rutgers that are going to land there to work with kids. It doesn't really say how many times they're going to be there, how often. It does say it's a period between October and December of 24. So I'm assuming we're just granting the right for that short period of time for those months.
My understanding, it's the right for that period of time, but they'll only be there one day. If I can always double
Okay,
check with
yeah.
Seton Hall, but that's usually they give themselves a window. It's generally when there's a top quality Division I player. I think they've landed up at West Orange High before. They've landed at
Right.
Seton Hall before. It's not
Okay,
uncommon.
I was just concerned, is there any nuisance to the residents in case anyone contacted me?
Sure.
I just want to make sure that they're cognizant that that's a residential neighborhood and
Right.
take all precautions to do it.
And the FAA requires the resolution before they'll issue the permit to the pilot.
Okay, that's all.
Officer, please escort Mr. McNair out. He's not allowed in council chambers. We took the vote. You're well aware of it, sir. It's because you threatened me. Okay. Thank you, officer.
Hold on 1 second. What is that? I thought that was not permitted.
I don't know anything about it.
How can we remove someone? How can we take a vote to ban someone from a public space?
You don't recall the vote we took,
No,
that you voted on?
I do recall the vote,
Okay.
and the vote was not a valid vote because we cannot ban someone from a public space.
Well, it was voted on.
I understand, but we voted on a lot of things that
Okay.
haven't been appropriately voted upon. So that's
Okay,
inappropriate. but okay.
so challenge it legally, right? Challenge it legally.
Challenge it legally.
Okay, well, it's been removed, so, yeah. I was threatened by Mr. McNair
Allegedly.
audibly with multiple witnesses in this council chamber. Yeah. And for the record, well, Mr. Moon, since you have the microphone, it's my understanding that the council president has the right to maintain decorum, request that the officer remove someone. Yeah.
But the vote to bar a member of the public from attending council meetings, I think is beyond the scope of that. If there's a member of the public that's disruptive, if there's a threat to a member of the personnel and there's like a restraining order taken out or a police report filed, that's a different story. But I don't think it's really not appropriate to bar a specific person like indefinitely.
Okay, I'm glad you feel that way. So that's what we voted on, right? Now, if there's someone that wants to change that, feel free to offer it. That's what we did, and that's what I'm gonna do, instruct the officer to remove him every single time he comes, unless and until there's another resolution, one of the vote taken to undo what we've already done.
And if that's taken against the advice of the legal counsel.
That's fine. We're going to do that night, so we're working with a limited set of facts. And I also find it interesting how instead of having some conversation about it or trying to clarify it, you just decide to go and bring them here.
I did not decide to
Okay.
bring anybody in.
He decided on his own to just show up.
And he can do that because
No,
he's a
no,
resident
not-
of this township.
So no, he can't,
No,
because he, no, he
because the
can't.
vote was
Well,
not valid.
he's not here, so let's move on.
Because he's gonna be respectful, but again, let's be very.
Don't be respectful now that he has threatened me.
He's gonna be respectful
Okay.
because he's not going to be disruptive like you are.
Not respectful.
Guys, let's
But you,
So-
that was not.
Councilwoman, you're no longer recognized. We're on 298. That's done as far as I'm concerned.
I'm finished with.
We're good with 298.
I'm voting for it.
Mr. Abbott, I have a question regarding when they will be there. Is there any notification with regard to the neighboring residents regarding the noise?
Problem with this is that Seton Hall usually receives very quick notice, especially if it's a big school. Last time it was like Georgia that came, and that's big. Now Rutgers might be not trying to offend Rutgers or our state school, but they might be a little more, closer and so on. When Georgia came, they had a couple hours notice. They let us know. So it's tough to.
Well, it says they
let
have
the
to give
neighbors-
us
We
2
didn't,
days.
I don't recall any issues from any neighbors being concerned at the helicopter land or calling or anything like that. Could have happened, but
Chief, in the resolution, it says they have to give the township and the police department 2 days' notice.
okay, well,
So my request would be, to the extent possible, as soon as Seton Hall knows when the landing will be, to send out some notification.
I'll call Mr. Gallo tomorrow and have a conversation with them. I'm sure they'll do everything they can to accommodate us. And maybe my recollection's wrong. Maybe Georgia gave us 2 days notice. For some reason, I thought it was very short notice, but maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, whatever it is fine. I just, now that more people are working from home, let's just, if we can notify them, let's do that. Does that satisfy your question, Councilwoman?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so I'm sorry. 298? No, I'm sorry, 304.
Okay, so I have the same question for both 304 and 305. So to ensure transparency and thoroughness and the project planning and execution, how will the township ensure timely communication with property owners and minimize the disruptions during the project?
Mm-hmm. 304 and 5?
Councilwoman, I'm just going to read the titles real quickly.
Thank you.
Sure. 304-24, resolution authorizing execution of temporary easement agreement, 735 Northfield Avenue. And resolution 305-24, resolution authorizing execution of temporary easement agreement, 737 Northfield Avenue.
I mean, they usually give notice on the door the day before when they do work.
Well, so I'm asking the administration.
So quickly, Councilwoman, just so I spoke to the director today. She's actually available if we'd like to get her online, but she did tell me that this is an old pumping station that's an eyesore up on Northfield Avenue that the residents been complaining about for years, and we're looking to knock it down. We need the right of way to get onto the properties to knock it down, remove it, flatten it, and upgrade the system to become a gravity-fed system for the sewer. It's been an eyesore. It's been in disrepair. It needs a lot of work. So in order to perform this work, we need the right of way or the easement rights to get in there to do the work and perform it. A lot of the neighbors and a lot of the citizens in the neighborhood complain about the looks of it, and it's pretty unsightly. It's just past the JCC before Old Short Hills Road there on the left-hand side. So that's the explanation. I mean, we could bring her on if you like, but trying to help her.
I thought this was located in the back of one of the businesses.
It's on the side there. It's right on the corner. I think it's Dogwood. I forget that. Not Dogwood. I forget the exact street, but it's right near Old Short Hills Road. It's a big old ugly structure.
But I think the question was about notification. if
Yes, correct. I understand the scope of the work. I read the resolution. I'm familiar. My question was.
The notification, we would just notify like we do normally. We would notify it if we have to go on properties. We've done that before with a lot of our other easement work. We notify the residents in the area that we may be performing work.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
No.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Director?
Good
Director,
evening.
can you hear us?
Council members, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so that I did meet with the residents in person approximately 2 weeks ago to discuss in detail the project. And each one of them agreed to provide us with the temporary easement during construction. Property on 735 will be allowing us to use the property as a staging area for the contractor. And property number 737 in which the pump station is more or less behind this property. And we have the right of way access that is approximately 8 to 10 feet. But we still need access through their driveway in order to be able to do the work. Also have provided us with the okay to utilize the property and basically install the sanitary sewer main and then remove the pump station building.
Thank you.
You're
Direct-
welcome.
Anything further? Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
So we can vote on the consent?
Well, you pulled.
Oh, we're gonna do those and then vote on, I thought we were gonna vote on all of
Oh,
them, then do
sure.
two
Okay,
ninety-two.
I forgot you pulled that. I'm sorry. I
308.
apologize. Yes. Okay. Yes. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented. Resolution 292-24, resolving certain litigation and accepting certain public improvements, including the rights of way at Colonial Woods North, an extension of Nance Road, and public easements shown on the filed map entitled Final Plat Block 173, Lot 2, and Block 172.29, Lot 40-02, Colonial Woods North, Township of West Orange. Councilwoman Geber Michael, you pulled this.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The 3, 4, 5, the fifth whereas, where the township engineer recommends that a payment to the township of $23,275 be accepted from the developer to be used solely for the planting of trees that with the consent of the respective property owners were not planted in the development. Can we just specify that it's going to go in the tree fund? Because it's not specific as to which fund it's going to go into. I would like to make an amendment that the money will go into the tree fund.
Sorry, Gaston.
Good evening.
So, Director, the question is, first, where is this $23,275 mentioned in the fifth whereas clause? Is that going in, where would it go today?
I will assume that the money will need to be allocated to a tree account in order for our forester to utilize the money and plant trees in township.
So we want to make sure that that happens. Councilwoman Geber Michael wants to make sure that it goes into the tree fund. Is that the appropriate fund for this money?
I believe in the tree ordinance that was approved a couple months ago, there is in there some language in regards to the
Yes.
tree funding. So I will assume that's the account that will need to be allocated in order to be utilized, appropriately.
Okay, Mr. Detiniak, can you weigh in on that?
So, yeah, I would put this money into the tree maintenance fund, trust fund. It really is dependent on how comfortable you are with the language in the whereas where it's saying solely for the planting of trees. To me, that would mean that it would go into that tree maintenance fund, but I can understand if you wanted to button up that language with a stronger reference.
Absolutely.
I can understand that.
So what should it be then?
You could say into the tree maintenance trust fund.
Okay.
And
So I
I
make
think
an
that
amendment.
solidifies it.
I second that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dutniak.
Okay. Council, on the amendment, Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Now, on the resolution?
So now is there a motion, Councilwoman, to approve?
I make a motion to, okay, second.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries as amended.
So, thank you, Councilwoman, Madam Clerk, Mr. Tiniak, Director Carballo. On 308, my question is really not with 308. It's, I need help, and I hope the director is still on. I need help understanding what work was done in the Colonial Woods neighborhood with regard to inspecting our storm sewer system. It's my recollection, I met with residents in that neighborhood multiple times. On two occasions, I believe, Mr. Gross and Lenny Lepore attended those meetings. And after the second meeting, I believe, it was agreed that some investigation of the stormwater system would take place, that they would be cleaned and inspected to see, if there's something inadequate with the system that's contributing to the flooding that the residents were experiencing. It was my recollection that they were going to use a CCTV, use the camera to go down there and actually look. And I think in the last council meeting or the meeting before, it was stated that that never took place. So,
Wait, this is 308?
yeah, no, so 308 is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
My concern is that, so one, did we do that work or not? If we didn't do the work, or did we have any resolutions where we awarded a contract for that work, or did we use our own DPW? Does our own DPW have the capability of using the cameras? So how was that work done, or at least, so was the work done before? That's the first question.
Oh, by us?
Or whoever.
Are we talking about just at Colonial Woods?
Yeah. So residents that live below Colonial Woods are experiencing additional flooding.
It's only one.
This is why the
It's
maintenance
only
is so
one now.
important.
I was just there 2 weeks ago. It's only one now that's still getting flooded. One resident.
No, there are multiple residents. I spoke to Emily last week. There are multiple residents in that neighborhood that still experience flooding, even with minor rainfall. But this was maybe 2 years ago. I can't remember how long, but it was quite a while ago, when we initially started going out and responding to the complaints in that neighborhood. And then some work was supposed to have been done to remedy that. And so my concern is, if we're going to do this now, like if we said we were going to do it then and it didn't happen, what confidence do we have that it'll happen this time?
That project, the director and I'll let her speak to part of that too, but we both went out there, met with the neighbors. We did apply for the DOT grant, which you recently approved for us to move forward with. That is all part of the project, is the infrastructure of that neighborhood, and that particular person you mentioning, because we spoke to her on several occasions. And there are issues there, but it's actually separate than from the upper part of Colonial Woods. I don't know if, I think we spoke last time, I don't know if it was a meeting or not, but for those who are not familiar, the Colonial Woods section we were talking about before, that section of sewer actually goes into retention pond, which goes out to Route 280.
Yeah.
The other section of infrastructure is combined, is within that area of those streets. Some of the streets were paved last summer, a couple blocks over. The next grant we have is to continue with that and getting that whole neighborhood up to speed and regraded, new infrastructure, things of that nature. So we were waiting for that money to come in to start working on it. So we are working on this project. It's just that this is,
But did we do the inspection that we?
I'm gonna defer to the director, but I can tell you that I know that for a fact that we're working in that neighborhood, and that's part of what you've approved for us to move forward with the DOT grant.
And that work includes not just the roads, also the stormwater management?
I believe so, and again, I'll defer to the director, but we've been looking at talking about having gutters and leaders and things of that nature incorporated into the system, so we can alleviate some of those concerns with flooding. And I'll turn over to the director for the more technical details.
Thank you, Mr. Smeraldo. Director Carballo, can you hear us?
Yes, I could hear you, Council President. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you
All right.
Yep.
I could respond to your various questions. So in regards to any CCTV inspection conducted in the Colonial Woods neighborhood, I could say that it is the first time actually that I'm hearing about it. So it has not been conducted. With regards to our DPW being capable of conducting the CCTV inspection, the answer is no. We typically have to hire an outside company to do the CCTV inspections. Now, we do have a project that was recently bidded and it will start construction next year, which is the Municipal Aid NJDOT 2023 project, which consists of Colonial Woods Drive, which is the older portion of Colonial Woods Drive, Cullen Drive, and Carlson Road and Merklin. Now, what I could do for that project in order to fulfill the request for the CCTV inspection is to utilize the contract allowance that I have in the project to do the CCTV inspection while doing the road project to ensure that there is no damage or any disrepair to our existing storm sewers. As part of the Municipal Aid 2024 project that is currently under design, which consists of Hunterdon Road, Warren, and I can't think of the other road right now, but it's the area in which Geraldo and myself met with the residents. I do have in there incorporated a CCTV inspection amount per linear foot of pipe that needs to be inspected in order to also to ensure that there is no damage in that area. Since I know that's the area where most of the residents have been saying that they have experienced flooding. Also, we're adding on that project, we're adding additional drainage and also pipe. And like Mr. Esmeralda had said, our plan is to take most of the roof leaders and then start sending residents letters sometime next year, requesting them to maybe have the roof leaders run to the streets. And that way, when we do the road project, we could take it from there and tie everything into our storm sewer system. So they see less water ponding onto the road and onto their property. Does that answer your question, Council President?
It does.
So are you talking about flooding on Colonial Woods North or Lower Colonial Woods? Continued flooding?
There's continued flooding in the neighborhoods below.
Below the new
Yeah.
construction?
Mhm.
Okay, so when I was speaking and saying that there was only one house that was still impacted by flooding, that's on Colonial Woods North.
Okay,
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that for the public.
perfect. Thank you. Councilman?
So just going back to your original question, you recall this inspection we approved to have done, or?
So this is I don't
Yeah,
recall us
direct-
voting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, but this was prior to her though. This was
Yeah,
this was
Mr.
under
Lepore
Lenny.
was here, okay.
So I don't recall us voting on it, which is interesting, but I do recall us agreeing to do the work. And I do recall the residents acknowledging that DPW did come out after our meeting. And so or at least the impression I was under is that the work that we had agreed at that meeting to do had been done. And but now I'm being told that it wasn't done. So
I don't remember us agreeing to do anything. I remember us requesting DPW to go out. I remember us requesting DPW to go out and do an assessment, but I don't recall ever hearing any feedback.
I remember a little bit of Mr. Lepore addressing it, but again, the final outcome, I know there were complaints, so I know it wasn't completed.
the agreement was made outside of a council meeting. It was
wasn't here.
what Mr. Lepore recommended be
Okay.
done to address the resident
So
concerns.
is the work that we're doing here now going to remedy the concerns that we have? Or are you suggesting that this is going over to a completely different project and we still have Colonial Woods that we haven't resolved?
No, my concern was if we were told that it was done before, right, and it wasn't, then why would I have confidence that this $9,000 would actually go to that this time, right? That was my concern. But I'm not going to not vote for this, tonight. I understand the director's, explanation. I understand what's going on Wellington Avenue, and I just looked it up again to make
Yeah.
sure. So I do understand what's going on over there. But this just reminded me of what we recently discussed about Colonial Woods. And so that's why I asked the questions, but my questions are satisfied now. Did you have another one?
Well, I just want to just make a comment to
Mhm.
that, and I appreciate your concerns, but I think we're in a better, the department's in a better place right now as I know, have we hired an assistant yet for the department? Or we just approved the budget, so I know the different directors are hiring positions.
There was a turnover.
There was, okay, so as we get more up and running I'm sure we would hope this matter wouldn't repeat itself, so I'm sure Ms. Cabral is doing everything she can to get the department straightened out, and I appreciate her efforts because she's been quite busy. But I do get your concern.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you, Director.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right.
Do you have another question?
No, I just move for us to pass
Second.
308.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries. Okay, ordinances on second and final reading, 2876-24, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7, Traffic subsection 7-14.6, winter parking restrictions of the revised general ordinances of West Orange. Is there a motion to introduce on
I'll
second and
make a
final?
motion.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa, Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, public hearing.
We'll now accept public comment from anyone in council chambers. If you'd like to address us, now is your opportunity. Seeing no one, public comment is now closed. Is there a motion?
Is there a motion to approve on second and final
I move
reading?
to adopt on second and final
Second.
reading.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Scarpa? Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries. Ordinances on first reading, 2879-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 3, Section 17.1 of the revised general ordinances of West Orange, ordinances and resolutions preparation. Is there a motion to introduce on first
Make a
reading?
motion.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael?
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Councilwoman Scarpa, is there something you'd like to address with this?
Not necessarily. I did request that we do this based upon my request for like red line version
Sure.
of all the ordinances. It's just so much easier to get through. So I would imagine that we would get a red line version. The language is kind of subjective. I just don't know what we're going to get to indicate that it's new information. Is it going to be redlined or is it going to be underlined or, I mean,
This
it
was-
kind of leaves it.
This was in blue.
Yeah, it leaves it open. I mean, I trust that we're gonna do, yeah, I trust we're gonna do,
It'll be highlighted.
highlighted in some
Right.
way, yeah.
The idea is it's gonna be prepared in a way where it's apparent what the changes are.
Right.
Because red lines are specific from
Right,
one.
exactly. You might have a different color.
So it's not
Not a
like
problem.
an actual
Right.
form, so it's more like in state legislator, they have like little mark with like pluses and minuses showing what's being added, what's been deleted, but as long as it's.
Right.
apparent, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, I trust it will be. Thank you.
This is
Thank you
red-
so much
red
for
and
doing
blue.
it.
Very nice coloring.
Okay, pending matters, new matters, council discussion. Chemistry LLC amended application for a resolution of local support.
Okay.
Mr. Moon.
So as you guys recall, this was one of the.
Oh, hold on.
I'm gonna abstain.
Oh,
So you're recusing yourself?
Yes,
Okay, that's different. You can be present if you're abstaining.
I'm recusing.
Okay.
Okay. As you recall, this was one of the, they were initially awarded a resolution of local support. It was it was revoked and then we provided them some time to cure. We had given them 60 days. They asked for additional time. The council said that was okay. They submit their application with the new proposed location. So that's what's been circulated to all the members. And now the question is, what do you guys want to do? Councilwoman Castellino noted that there were several omissions from the application. So I sort of presented, there's sort of three options. One, we could just reject them and say, don't give the opportunity to cure, say we gave you a chance, you don't get it. Two, we reject the application and we give them a chance to cure, to get in all the things that they were supposed to put in. Or three, we just ignore it and grant it. So that's what the discussion is about. It's not a formal vote for anything, but just sort of, you know.
So going off the task force procedures that we started in the beginning, and the checklist that went out with the application. So there was a few items which I stated back to you that was missing. Now, at that point in time, are you asking us now, like, should you communicate with them to let them know what they're missing? Because I think that will be helpful to them.
Okay.
I don't mind us going back if somebody presents something and it's missing X, Y, or Z, you let them know. But at any given time, my point was everybody needs to be on a fair playing field. And that was kind of the issue in the beginning of the process, that any application this council receives and it's completed, then we should grant them an interview on the location so we could ask them questions and we could decide to move forward at that point. So I was a little confused why we're talking in pending matters tonight, because I thought that was just the process.
Well,
the
idea is,
for direction.
so, yeah, so one of the task force was disbanded, so those procedures are no
Yeah.
longer in place. So we got the application, you correctly noted there's stuff missing. So I look at it as, well, it's not my job to decide
Got it.
what to do with them. I can't just say, okay, you get another chance to do it. So that's what I'm asking for you guys, what you want to do.
So what is missing? Can we get the?
So they haven't provided document of ownership or lease or site control of the new proposed location. There weren't disclosures of the corporate entity. There was a
Operating
copy of the
agreement.
operating agreement, which was a requirement. It's on the application form as listed of required materials. So yeah, stuff like
I
that.
mean, I'm looking at the application, but I can't tell what's missing. Am I looking at the wrong thing?
I sent back an email. I think I
I'm on
copied
that email and
everything.
I clicked on the actual application.
Like, I guess the point being, no matter what's missing, do we want to have the attorney to say, okay, you're missing X, Y, and Z. You need by a certain date to get back to us?
So let me ask this question. Were they made aware of what was required to be
It's on the
included
form.
in the
Yeah.
submission?
It's on the form.
And was that complied with in the initial submission?
No.
Well,
I know there was a question about the
first
lease.
time,
Yeah.
first time they did. The very first time they were here, when we first granted chemistry, they had provided.
Absolutely not.
No.
Because they did not have a valid letter of intent.
Right, right.
Okay, so
They didn't have a lease, they had a letter of
they had a
intent.
letter of intent, which was
But
at
that
the time was
not
allowed.
signed by, but it was not signed by the entity.
I get
Right,
it.
but the point was they could check the box saying that they submitted
Right.
proof of.
But again, it's almost, okay, but
But it wasn't.
the council revoked the resolution of the local board, so.
No, let me
Okay.
for a second. This is I want you to understand why I'm asking the question, right? I wanted to know so what we have now is an incomplete application.
Yes,
I wanted to know if in the original application, if they submitted a complete application, even if we weren't satisfied with what they submitted, they checked off every single box. So it's that, and this is to establish whether or not they knew what they needed to submit in order to have a complete submission.
all right. So chemistry has a little bit of more of a history, so there was a period, so the way we did this was we had opened it up, this is they were one of the first to submit. In that first batch, there were a bunch of them that had a bunch of stuff missing and stuff like that, so the task force had decided we're gonna give opportunities to cure at that time. That was the task force determination, and they did by a certain deadline. So at that point, we had I want to say 9 or 12 that we were looking for. Chemistry was one of them that after they had cured that first time, they had gotten everything in and whatnot. There were some There was a debate about whether or not the letter of intent was sufficient or whatnot, but they did have a letter of intent, which was it was either a lease, a deed or a letter of intent, which was allowable. So they had everything in. Then ultimately, there was an issue with the location. Then ultimately, the resolution was revoked. They have now come back and this application is now incomplete. Because the new location, there's no evidence of site control or anything like that.
Yeah.
One more question on that. When we granted them the additional 60 days, was it made clear to them what was needed in order to have a complete submission?
Yeah, it's all in the form. The form didn't change.
It's on the letter.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I look, I'm good. I'm ready to vote. I'm a no. I'm tell you now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been making this also complicated. You give them a letter. There's, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, say there's 10 items that have to be submitted. They have to submit the 10 items in order for it to be a complete application. And then we could look at it and then grant them an interview. That's for anybody, not just this one. So if we're not receiving the complete application, I mean, so I guess his question is, do you want him to send a letter back or you just send it back, it's incomplete and they got to cure it and.
Right, and we're no longer accepting applications for dispensaries.
That's
right. So.
And we have quite enough retailers in a town this size. From a marketing point of
No, but
view
I
and a
just want to be
business
fair to all
perspective.
the
I
investors.
wouldn't be fair too.
Can I chime in?
Absolutely, Councilwoman.
I think we do need to be fair. I think that Mr. Moon should send a letter and let them know what's missing and make sure they submit it.
Well, the lease is big. I mean, that you have to have site control. That's the problem. It shouldn't even be to us without a letter of site control.
So I would agree with the Councilwoman if they hadn't already been notified that they needed to provide this. This is not new news.
I mean, if you don't have a form in front of me, but I have the form up on my computer. It's one of the.
And then my concern about being fair in this matter is if we're going to continue extending and extending for them, I mean, we've already shut the door on people that wanted to come in. Like, I don't know that that's fair to other folks if we're making
It's not.
concessions for one and not for others.
4 years we're going on.
That's
So
right.
it really is, I mean, look, the truth of the matter is, I don't expect you guys to rank this application because there's obviously important things missing. The question is, do you want to give them a chance to file a corrected? That's basically what it comes out to.
I'll compromise and give them a week, but if they don't have site control now,
Yeah.
like I'm not willing to extend this indefinitely.
Yeah, I don't think it
It
should
would
be.
be, it would be basically.
All right, well, 2 weeks then. Yeah, I think they already know. I think they already know. Like, this is the second go around with an application for a separate site. They've already been through the process. They know what's required to submit and made a submission that was incomplete.
I will also say this, as far as the ownership disclosure and LLC, there was a particular attention to their ownership disclosure the first time around. So the fact that they omitted to put it in this time, they knew it was a requirement. There was no, this wasn't.
They asked,
There's
you
no-
know.
Right, so if you recall that there was a bit of a controversy based on who was part of their ownership structure.
So I
it's not
think
like-
there needs a procedure. If an applicant is applying and we ask that 10 items are mandatory and they're not there, it shouldn't even come to us
That's right.
until you have everything. So who's gonna filter that?
Yeah,
I'm a no.
But
Council.
the question is, do I tell them they can fix it, or do I tell them?
It doesn't sound like you.
That's what I want to know.
Councilwoman Geber Michael, you wanted to chime in?
I think that we should let them fix it. And give it time frame.
How much time have they had to fix it?
4
Total?
years.
And these are major things that are missing that they know they need to
Yeah,
submit.
at least is
a no.
big.
How much time have they had since their notification regarding the old location? Right, and that they had to get it in by a certain time with a new location?
It's been, I believe it might have been
4 years.
prior council that,
It was
in
prior
fact, that was
council.
the
Exactly.
revocation occurred during the prior council. So
Task
it's
force
been-
was over 4
yeah.
years ago.
I'll give Councilman Goldberg, I'll tell you, this particular one has been fraught with difficulty from the very beginning. I think we've been very gracious, in extending concessions to them. I mean, I understand your position. I'd compromise and go 2 weeks, till the next council meeting, but my inclination is to not give them any opportunity, any further opportunity, given all of the further opportunity we've already given them.
Okay.
So is there a motion to allow them an additional 2-week period to cure?
I make that motion.
I can't.
No.
I mean, I'll agree to a week, because they have a lease, they have it now.
It's gotta be next council meeting.
11/12 is the next council meeting.
I think we should give them that time period till the next council meeting.
Let me ask this question then, Mr. Moon. I sent this email was from a couple of weeks ago, a month ago.
Well, the date is August 19th.
Did you ever have any correspondence with them that they were missing the lease since then?
Listen, my mentality was, it's not my job to do their job. So if they can't.
That
get
is
their
correct.
So what I was looking for was, I was waiting for everyone else's comments. I got yours, and then I was like, okay, well, no one else is commenting, so let me find out what they want me to do. That's kind of what happened.
I'm not willing to go to that long. I mean,
No,
if
I'm
they
not either.
just forgot it.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if it's literally a clerical issue that they just forgot to add stuff, or whether they don't have a lease or cycle chain. I can't tell you that.
Yeah, I'm willing to go.
Why don't we ask them?
All right, there's a motion on the floor for 2 weeks. If you're not in favor
Yeah,
of
no,
that,
I'm gonna
I'm
say
not
no for 2
either.
weeks.
well,
not-
we gotta second it first, and
Do
then
we have a
vote.
second for that?
I'll second it. I would give them 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, Councilwoman Castellino,
No.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
No.
Councilwoman she's recused. Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion fails.
I'll make a motion to give them 1 week, because if it was a clerical error, I would like to give them that opportunity.
I'll second the motion.
We already just did that.
No.
Let's try it.
Said no.
I mean, we could memorialize it, but if they forgot items, they'll have it right away.
This is not something.
You're not
The
gonna.
next
not
council meeting
consider
is not
till the
for
next
3
council meeting,
weeks.
So that's why I'm saying the week is.
Because if they forgot items, they'll have them within a week. If they don't have a lease, then this is crazy. We have to give somebody else an opportunity.
So the motion's been offered and seconded.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I seconded.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilwoman Castellino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
You could clear it up with them to see if they.
So that's a week from when you notify them, not a week
I'll
from
get a letter.
Tuesday.
From today.
I'll get a letter out.
Yeah, call them
Yeah.
tomorrow and give them an opportunity. If they
And you
forgot
update us.
documents, I'm okay with
As
that.
soon as you have the answer.
But if they don't have the documents, we gotta get this moving along.
Okay. Next item is stormwater management ordinance.
Okay. All of my colleagues have received it. I haven't gotten any feedback. I did talk to legal today, to Mr. Gennaro. And he is reaching out to Zabeth. I did call her and she was busy, so I haven't talked to her. But Jessica Pearson, if anybody has, it's a complicated thing. There are 2 elements that are critical. Minor developments must be incorporated in there because that covers the problems I've experienced with residents where the neighbor puts in a patio or a pool, doesn't grade it properly, and it floods the basement every time. In fact, Jessica was telling me, she goes, people do these things and they flood their own basement because they don't do the
Yeah.
proper management of it. And this has to be done well, and the minor has to be included in there. And then the other thing, I reached out to a very competent, experienced planner who thought it was really liked it. He said it was a very aggressive, but very good, and everything in there should be done. And he said the maintenance also is the second thing that must be in there, because he said, if you don't maintain this stuff, it's all for nothing. The maintaining of it, and we saw that with Love, who called over a year, her home was getting flooded
Yeah.
because we weren't maintaining properly. And those two elements must be in it. I think all of the other amendments that we've made are important. And if we need to go through it line by line, Jessica will talk to any of you. I gave you her number. You can talk to her individually. She has a PowerPoint. She will come and talk specifically about each of the items with our engineering department, our legal department, and anybody else who wants to be here.
So I appreciate your advocacy with this. And it's important. However, where are we at with the engineer? Does she have time to look at this? I mean, she
Well,
needs to be involved.
Let's ask her. I mean, she's the key person. She should look at it.
Well, she's,
She has.
huh?
She has. She gave a red line copy back to legal.
Okay, so she
Okay.
did look at it. Okay,
Thorough.
that's my concern, because
Okay,
I don't
perfect.
want to,
She's the person.
again,
Exactly.
and then also, I mean, what does this incur to the homeowner and
Well, that's the question for minor site. If you're
Yeah.
doing a patio, what is the additional or incremental cost going to be? And not that I'm not for it. I just
Yeah.
want to understand it.
It's nothing exorbitant.
I mean, we have to really
Well-
look at, because I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
you
we
now,
have- we should look
with the
at it.
tree ordinance,
Mhm.
there's a resident that got hit with $16,000. So
Mhm.
we have to be balanced with what we're doing. And also, you know, we've got to be careful. I want to make sure that we're not making it more and more expensive for homeowners to make improvements on their property.
Well,
Again,
they can't cut corners and flood their neighbors.
no, they,
I mean,
no,
this stuff has to be done right.
absolutely. But again, we can't just push things through. I want all eyes on it.
Right. We
before
live in a community and we have to be respectful of our neighbors, and that our actions impact our neighbors, whether it's cutting down our trees or putting our patios and pools in properly with the proper grading, or whether it's cleaning out and
Because
maintaining.
what's
what we
happening,
have.
Councilwoman, I don't mean to interrupt you,
know.
is because when we make it too expensive or unbearable, they're going ahead and doing these things anyway. And that is another problem. So we have to balance it out.
Could someone refresh me on where we were with Love Gaylord's property? I don't
Yeah, wasn't
understand.
the park involved with?
Well, Chief, you want to?
Well, but
We're-
her property was flooded because of coming down the hill back from the Welland Park. It
Right,
wasn't
because it
work.
wasn't cleaned out, right?
Well,
No, that's not.
Ms.
you know,
Scarpello
I'm
wants-
not gonna say the maintenance couldn't have been better.
Wasn't
However, a lot of that washes down during those major
Right.
storms.
Right, and that's why the maintenance is so important.
Well,
It's all over tin.
So it wasn't our main-
the issue with Love Gaylord starts at the top of the hill, right? So that is why we need to have the entire hill taken care of, not just the one property that's at the top of the hill. So,
Yes.
are we doing it that way?
Well, you know, we're still in the middle of that thing, so I don't want to talk about it too much in public here. I don't think it's been to court and fully resolved.
So I just want to encourage the administration, like, we can solve that problem with multiple parties, contributing to the cost so that it's not totally in the township, and then be done with that. And then we can look at the next neighborhood and the next neighborhood. But the point is,
Yeah.
let's from the top of the hill all the way down to Main Street, let's solve that problem. The director wanted to weigh in, Director Carballo?
Yeah, she's working on some
Yeah.
kind of plan.
Director, are you
Yeah.
able? There we go.
I am here. Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
In regards to the stormwater, I did review the ordinance, Councilwoman Scarpa, and I did provide it to legal. If anybody recall last year, I believe it was on the May meeting, I did have submitted a minor development ordinance to complement basically our stormwater ordinance. At that time, it was on first reading, but it didn't move on. So I did review the ordinance now with regards to the minor development, and I did make some changes to it. And just to be clear, every time that a property owner makes an application to put in a pool or to put a new dwelling, in their property, they do get review by engineering, meaning myself. And when I do review it, I do request that the additional runoff coming off the site due to the improvements is detained on site, whether it's via a dry well or some other type of detention system.
Yeah, don't you have to look at, right? You get the surveys with the as-built surveys too, with the, especially with an in-ground pool?
Well, typically we get a survey and that goes to the zoning department to be reviewed. And when the survey is submitted, yes, the existing condition survey is provided to engineering as well. And as part of my review, I also request an as-built survey at the end or completion of the project. But throughout the process, before they even get a permit, we do review the grading, we do review the stormwater management, and they do not provide any stormwater management for the proposed pool and patio around the pool. We do request that they provide calculations for the existing and proposed conditions and detain the excess runoff of the site due to the improvement.
I just wanted to ask, did you find anything that cumbersome? Anything that was put in that and in that red line version overly cumbersome for the residents?
Yes, under the definition of a minor development, because it basically, I think, said anything over 5,000 square feet will fall under the definition of a major development. And the reason why I disagree is because most of the pool applications that have come in for review are greater or about 5,000 square feet. And if you do classify them as a major development, then you are making the individual homeowners then subject to major development requirements, which will require for you to not only detain the water, but also to treat the water. Those water treatment devices, which basically are utilized to clean the stormwater, are very expensive.
Okay. So what was the number that you thought was, how many square feet did you amend it to?
Oh, I didn't amend it to a square feet. Instead, I just amended it so that it will be, basically what I'm doing right now, which is to provide detention for X number of inches, which is equivalent more or less to a 25-year storm, which is about 6 inches for Essex County. Which I think it will be more reasonable for a property owner. Which is what I'm basically making them do now when I do the reviews.
What is, you're doing that now?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
So you're currently making them have a system where they can retain the water for a 25-year storm. That is a requirement now?
I do require it when I do the reviews, yes.
And is that in writing? Because I know the resident that I worked with, it was not properly evaluated. And he had to work for about 8 months with the mayor, I think yourself and a number of other people. So I just want to make sure that it's in writing that we're doing this correctly. And
When did that occur? I mean.
that was a while, it was like 8 months ago. Yeah. But I just don't want the same thing to happen again. So I just want to make sure.
I think that was a unique situation. That
We
wasn't.
just
the
want to make
norm.
sure
Yeah.
that, people are protected moving forward.
Well, people have to be protected, but people can't pay all these exorbitant fees either. So we just, again, we have to balance our fiduciary responsibility and the impact that it's going to have on our residents.
Right, of course.
Any other questions for the director?
No, I'll look at it.
Well, I do. So basically what you said, you presented us with the stormwater management plan last year, your own ordinance, and it was rejected by this council. Is that what you were saying, Director?
Last year, I did submit an ordinance for minor development to be added to the current stormwater ordinance. But because of my leave of absence, it never really, how would I say this, proceeded. It was on for first reading. And then last year, while I was out, I will say probably in July of 2023, DEP came out with new rules requiring townships to update their stormwater ordinance, which is the reason why this is stormwater ordinance, which is a model of the NJDEP ordinance to be adopted by municipalities.
Didn't we adopt that? Didn't we adopt the model? And we said that we would adopt the model now and then we will go back and make amendments
Yeah, I
or
do
adjustments? I
remember
recall,
that.
You did the first reading and it's going before the planning board next week.
okay.
The current model, the one that was.
No, the old one that really didn't
No,
have
it's not
enough
the
teeth.
old one.
No, it's
It's
updated. Chief.
one that
updated
we-
from NJDP.
I know, we should not have passed it on first reading because that was the one that didn't have enough teeth in it. And that's why I wanted to get something more substantive now before it goes to the planning board. I think
Well-
we should have the amended one go to the planning board
Well, the
with
one-
whatever.
What you passed, Councilwoman, was the first reading.
Right.
Which was presented to the planning board for
Right,
consideration
because
next week.
it's going to have to go back now anyway. If we make substantive changes, which I would imagine there are, it's going to have to go back to first reading anyway.
And that's
So why
okay.
are we wasting the time
okay.
of the planning board?
Yeah, we got to get something.
gotta get something right.
in place and then we make amendments like we always do. It's not a big deal. So why don't we can we get copies of what's
Yeah,
going to the planning board
yeah.
to refresh our memory?
Zabeth, is your version getting sent to the planning board or is the original one?
The plan that's going to the,
Well, we
that's going
approved.
is the ordinance that you passed on first
Right,
reading.
okay.
The Director Adams is placed on the agenda for next week's planning board for the consideration of the planning board.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like the amended version with Zabeth's comments on
Yeah.
it, so I can take a look at it.
Is that through legal yet? Done through legal?
Is that through legal?
She sent us a red line, so
Yeah, I'd like to copy of
Okay.
that.
She sent it later today. It was sent later today, so.
To legal. So once
Yes.
it pops out legal, we'll get it back.
This way we have plenty of time to look at it, and if there are questions, Jessica Pearson is available. I have.
But at least
you
in the
all her
meantime, there's
contact
something-
info, and there's something you could work with.
Something will work.
And Council, just to let you know, next week we are meeting, so you'll be able to listen to the commentary of the planning board. We can discuss it. I sit on the planning board as does the president, so we can, obviously tell the board that, there may be some concerns with this particular.
There are many
ordinance.
concerns.
Well, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we can relay that to the board, okay? But it's a process that we have to go.
Right, and they're probably not proficient in stormwater management, so they're not going to be able to make the
I take offense to
recommendation.
that, Councilwoman.
Oh, okay. All
You
right.
are required to take stormwater.
All right, so maybe they'll have some good ideas.
Please don't insult your planning board.
Oh, I didn't know. I wasn't, I
Okay,
no
well-
means want to insult anybody. I just
Well,
didn't think
when
everybody
you
was
said
expert on
these
this.
are two different things. Please
Yeah,
don't
they have to
be
get
accurate.
training. They have to
Okay,
take-
so good. Maybe they'll have some good recommendations for us.
Thank you.
All right, so we're done with that? We're gonna pursue two tracks, right? Okay.
We're gonna take a second look.
I would like to bring something up for pending matters. Are we done with stormwater management?
Sure, Councilwoman, go right ahead.
Okay, Chief, question for you regarding the email we received, the proposed ordinance for requiring that all single occupancy restroom facilities be gender neutral. We got this email from resident Steve Johnson, who's advocating for the LGBTQ plus community. And I forwarded the email to you and you sent it to legal. Where are we with this?
That.
Are you familiar with that, Mr. Moon? Okay, I might have went to Mr. Jangaro. I'll follow up on it.
It was Mr. Jangaro.
Yeah, I know I got it and I know I sent it out. I don't know where we're at. There was no opposition from the administration or the mayor or anything on it.
Mr. Abbott, do we need a resolution to do that?
Have you followed up with the?
Can we just do
It's a
it?
legal question.
Mr. Moon, do you know if we could just, because right now there are single-use bathrooms that are gender neutral in public establishments. If you go to a restaurant, they might have two bathrooms. Anyone can use them. So the question is, we were requested of a resident to make all single-use, single occupancy restrooms gender neutral. So that it's not like, if there's a single occupancy restroom, it's not just for men. It's for whoever wants to use it. Now, my question is, do we need a resolution to do that, or can we just do that because it's legal to have a single occupancy restroom available for anyone's use?
Well, allow it to require. That's what I'm trying to I'm asking.
Can't hear, Mr.
Okay.
I'm sorry, is it to require it or to allow it? Those are two very different things.
Oh, I mean, I think the resident, and I'm interpreting his request of us, wants to make sure that that happens, whether we make it mandatory or whether we just go ahead on and do it with the ones that we can. I don't think he would care. And I don't think anyone would
Do you mean
care.
like, so this is gonna be for every restroom, public restroom in West Orange?
And townwide government
Public.
buildings was the.
Public.
West Orange Township properties.
Oh, okay.
This is not Board of Ed,
Single use, you said.
right? So it wouldn't affect these two bathrooms here because there are multiple stalls in each bathroom.
Yeah, no, I don't think, there's no like, it's not, it's just basically. Yeah. You get
It's design.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't need a resolution to do that.
No, you don't need, I don't, you need an ordinance. I thought that's the question whether it's like, just, I'm trying to find the email.
That's what the
I don't
gentleman.
remember in detail.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I can send it.
Yeah, just forward it to him, let him.
All right, so we would like to pick that up on our next meeting if possible, if we have to. And Mr. Rabbit, if we don't have to, we'd just like the mayor to go ahead on and do that, since she has expressed that she's not, opposed to it. I think it's Johnston, not Johnson, but I could be wrong.
Johnston, yes.
Could we-
Sorry, I have Invisalign, so.
Can we also get
921.
can we also get an understanding of how many single-use bathrooms this will impact for signage? Because if we are changing signage, obviously there's gonna be a cost associated with that.
Well, we could ask Director Reynolds to do an inventory of the buildings.
Thank you.
Just so we know, that's all public area. I mean, some of the police and fire department facilities, we do have actually some of the fire departments, single use stalls already, so that they're gender neutral already. Those are the areas that are available to the public, but, we'll have to look at the rest of the buildings.
Do you want me to recirculate this email? It was, you got it? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was quite detailed. It just makes sense.
And then, are we done with that?
I think so. No, I got something too. Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you. Just wanted to ask the administration where we are on the reeval. I'm noticing that I'm getting a few calls from residents saying that the people are still leaving notes or still calling. And there's some concern.
I know the assessor has set up some locations and times and dates he's working on to have meetings with the public as they want to come in and discuss their evaluations. Should be pretty much done, right?
Yes, it's winding down, for those that they're knocking on the door still to be, they probably are making reasonable attempts to get into the properties. They want to do an actual assessment, and not everybody is either been
So
able to. let
can
them
you
in.
explain to the public why it's important to allow them to come in and do the assessment or the evaluation rather?
Well, one, it's required by law, we have to do that, and it's for a tax, what it levels out, the amount of.
No, why it's important
it's-
to the
It's always
homeowner.
better to let
them in.
the appraiser in to look at it, because if you refuse, they're going to use the highest value. If you're Formica countertops, they're gonna say granite, they're gonna say the bathrooms are modeled, they're gonna say everything is as good as it can be. Obviously, if there was improper illegal construction done, they may not know that, but they're gonna use the highest and best appraisal that they can that fits that house. So if you don't have that, you should really let them in to see that. So the appraisal's lower.
Thank you.
Yeah, and our assessor, Mr. Neiman is setting up workshops with the assessment company. They're gonna be doing it nights, weekends and days. They're gonna make themselves available so that the residents can go and ask questions about their assessment. once they
Thank you.
receive it.
Was it the 17th?
Yeah, I've just been getting a lot of questions at doors about the reeval, so I just wanted to make sure the public is informed. And then the only other question I have, if it hasn't been addressed in my absence, is when will we be releasing the manufacturing and cultivation application? I've been asked that question as well.
it's out.
It's out? I'm okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, so it's been on the website and those published and stuff letter. I think the deadline for submission of applications is November 15th.
Yes. Okay.
Councilwoman?
So I had asked the chief, I just want to share with everyone else, and so some residents have been calling me and asking me, they've been receiving letters from 20th Century Film Studio was out there, and I called Madam Clerk to they show an interest in some homes in the township. So if you receive a letter, folks are concerned about letting them in. Is this real? You know, so my question was for the administration, do they have to, are we requiring them to get a permit if they're soliciting homeowners to utilize their homes for film locations?
I don't think there's anything in the ordinance that requires that if they're mailing a letter to your house. I've never dealt with this. This is kind
Yeah,
of new. I've never
I
seen this.
think we need to figure this out because I always recommend to folks to, if you receive a letter like that, always Google the phone number, the address on the letterhead, make sure it's a real location.
20th Century, I've been dealing with them with new film permits and things of that nature. I can ask them if they have that, if they would solicit. They are, we've had a very active fall with filming.
Yes.
And so I'm not surprised that they are asking. I just don't know if they have it. This is the first time hearing this. But
I did receive a call back that it was a real call. However, folks, I don't want them to miss opportunity if this is what they want to do and they think it's a scam letter. So as we find our way through this new industry that's come to town, I think we need to put in some procedures.
We're actually looking at all that, and yeah, we're looking at that. So.
Okay, I just want folks to have a place to call.
Yeah.
And
They-
it usually
if they have-
permits, they go to the clerk's
if
office.
if they do have questions, they can call my office directly.
So to your office.
If some call me, and I'll see what I can do, because I do have contacts with some of these different companies that have been coming in as production companies. So, we just received another one for next week, I think it is up along Prospect Ave somewhere, and, without getting into details.
I don't know if we want to consider with us making modifications to the website. I know we have a tab for like realtors and for other entities, maybe.
We're looking at.
With film industry, we
I've
could have a tab.
I've been discussing with the state of the film commission, and there's some things that we have to
Yeah.
change to make it palatable for movies and we
Mhm.
want to be a film ready. We are a film ready
Yes.
community. We want to be a film friendly community.
Yes, we
also.
do.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, we do.
So we're looking at the different options that we have. So, and
Yeah.
I've been working with one of the commissioners to.
Yeah, because there's classes. I know Ms. Brill just had on a class last week for us. Yeah.
I think it would be important also if we could look, whether it be with our economic development commission or some other, whether it be the small businesses and go through the Downtown Alliance or even our Chamber of Commerce. But I think it would be advantageous for us to, again, see if we can find some information so that some of our small business owners can get their cards so that they can go and do business
Yeah.
with the studio, because I know for some of these access, it requires 18 months of training or understudying under someone before you can actually get your cards.
Yeah, that was the class she took the other day to get information to the small business owners. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Anything else before?
Nope.
So I've got a question. What is the anchor application deadline? Do we know?
Ooh,
It's November.
November 15th?
It's in November. Yeah, Laura has it on the website on Senior Services.
Yeah.
They're very hard to get. I've been trying to get, I called her today. I've been trying to get them for like
Yeah.
12 times I've called and there's nobody that answers the phone.
For the anchor application?
Because I already have to pick the code. I'm registered from 21 and I just wanted to make sure that I don't have to give any other information. You can't get anybody on the phone. So she's supposed to get
According to the
me.
website, it's November 30th.
Yeah.
November 30th.
Okay.
So I think I've been requested to do a workshop to show people how to apply.
Yeah, everybody's having difficulty.
So I think I'm going to do that. I don't know that we have, unless we have something else in town. Is there something
Talk
already?
to Laura because she had someone come in from Anchor and they explained it to the seniors. I was actually there, but they just talked about it. It really needs to be a hands-on training where. they can
Yeah,
make the
so a
calls, and the
volunteer
same
actually
thing for the
approached
senior
me
freeze.
who has helped other towns
Yeah.
by actually filling out the
Right,
application.
that's what we need.
So we don't have anything like that currently? No?
No.
I'll check it.
Through her. She'll get that going.
All right. So my other question is for you, Mr. Detiniak. Do we have the reporting on the Sunshine Fund?
So I have the reporting on the Roslyn, Ronjolin expenses.
Mhm.
And I'll circulate a PDF of this document, but I'll hand it out right now.
Thank you. Just, you could pass it around. Yeah.
Mr. Ditniak, can you email it to us too? Mr. Ditniak, can you email this?
Yes, Councilwoman, I had to get back to my microphone. Yes, I will email this.
Thank you.
So let me walk the council through,
So
Council President, do you want me to wait?
No, give her my copy and I can share so that we.
We'll share.
What are we looking for? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed all of
We could. I was thinking the same thing. I was gonna give them.
it. All right, so let's just hold a second.
What's Tim, Councilwoman share? They're gonna.
Oh,
share.
we'll wait for the clerk to come back. So others may want it.
What's the Newport West Orange?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Do you?
She emailing it to Councilwoman Goodhart.
Thank you. I think Mr. Titiniak was mailing it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Councilman Gibber Michael, I just emailed you a copy of the PDF that we're looking at.
Thanks.
All right, Councilwoman, are you able to access the PDF?
No, I'm still waiting for it. I'm gonna check my junk.
Okay. So, according to this, Mr. Detiniak, Township declared an emergency appropriation of $800,000 in
That-
2021.
That's correct, Council President. The emergency appropriation was declared around the time that Storm Ida hit. So commingled with the Ron Jolin expenses were other expenses related to storm cleanup, I guess on township property, repair to equipment. So the 800,000 funded both of these events.
All right, and so the three of us that were here at that time, is your recollection that the money that we spent for Ron Jolin Apartments was coming from an emergency appropriation, or is it that it came from the Sunshine Fund?
I don't recall. It's been a very long time. I know that there was discussion about both. And then I also understood that at some point FEMA reimbursed us for the money that had been put out. I wasn't necessarily so concerned about the sourcing, just as long as we were able to accommodate the residents.
So at our last meeting, what the three of us all said was that we recalled that money coming from the Sunshine Fund, which is why this request was made. And it did not come from the Sunshine Fund. So that is misleading. That's first. Second, of the 800,000, so that I assume that emergency appropriation was properly approved by the Township Council.
I'm assuming, yeah, back in 2021, I'm assuming that, yeah, the 800,000 was done via resolution.
So, Madam Clerk, can you forward to us the resolution for that emergency appropriation? And then my next request would be for a full accounting of the entire 800,000.
I can provide that, yes.
Colleagues, any questions or comments? And Councilwoman, are you able to access the PDF yet?
Yes, I'm reviewing it now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, because I can send you a picture. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah.
Councilwoman?
So part of the 800,000 went to overtime for staffing.
So if we're just looking at Ron Jolin, what was charged to this particular line item for the emergency appropriation included the engineering, included the temporary housing, and included, miscellaneous food, refreshments, and some reimbursements to Ms. Van Dyke for money that she put out for this disaster. I think we've said all along that the expenses for Ron Jolin were around 350,000. So part of that is for personnel overtime, which would have been just charged to their overtime sub-accounts, their regular budgets. We had mentioned before that we did receive reimbursement for FEMA for a significant amount. I think 195,000 was a FEMA reimbursement. And then, we passed a resolution for the settlement for the 135. So we did get back, for the most part, with, some out of pocket, what we spent on this Ron Jolin disaster.
So I get that, but I guess the question for the breakdown of the 800,000, so 342 went to this particular
Correct, yeah,
situation.
yeah.
The balance of this, are you saying, went to other expenses from Superstorm Ida?
So
Because I know we had trees down in the town and various other happenings.
Right, and I don't have the budget account history in front of me. I don't believe that the full 800,000 was spent from the emergency appropriation, but some of the other things that were charged to it was like garbage cleanup from debris. That was 40-something thousand. There was some construction with Grabowski Construction was 90,000 for repairs. But I will give you a full accounting of what was charged to that account, as a supplement to the Ron Jolin.
And please work with the clerk to include the applicable resolutions that authorized all of those payments or any of them. Councilwoman Williams, you wanted to say something?
There was a question regarding the Newport West Orange.
That's the Marriott.
Okay,
yeah.
that's the Marriott.
It's the entity name that they use.
Okay, great.
The vendor name that we use as well.
And CS Hotel West Orange?
I believe that's Cambria Suites. I think it somehow there was two lines created for both Cambria Hotel and Cambria Suites.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
And if you add those together, you get to the ballpark of the other two hotels. So, there was pretty much a third, and a third to my recollection.
Okay.
Other than the Manor, because that was probably didn't have the capacity that the other hotels had. I will also get you the FEMA request. That's going to tell you most, because that's going to say what we asked for, and that has to be very detailed. So that will have the overtime, that will have everything in there. I'll get that for you, and
Okay.
we'll send you everything in a package, the resolutions, the FEMA requests, everything.
All right, thank you.
But to my, to what it looks like to me, it looks like we spent about $20,000, give or take, of our own, money.
I don't think anybody minds that. I think the issue is how we did it and whether it followed the proper procedures. Learning that it wasn't spent from the Sunshine Fund was a surprise to all three of us. Last time we discussed it, it's no longer a surprise to you.
No, I didn't say it was not a surprise. I just said I didn't recall.
Right.
That's all I said, was
Okay.
that I didn't recall.
I wasn't sitting up here then, so I'm not going to say what you heard or didn't hear, what you were told or weren't told. I will say that the Sunshine Fund is donated funds from, charitable people that want to give money. It's used for, turkeys at Christmas. People have a fire and are displaced for a couple of days, a hotel, some food, clothes, that kind of thing. There would never be ever in the history of the Sunshine Fund this kind of money to
No.
provide for something like that.
But it wasn't, it was stated. at
I'm
that
not
time.
disagreeing with that. I wasn't here for that. so
Well, I think,
can't-
I think what was also stated, because I had asked Ms. Van Dyke after last meeting, and she did purchase from the Sunshine Fund, like, a lot of the residents received,
Gift cards for
gift
the
cards
grocery
for the food,
stores.
for food and whatnot. And that did come from the Sunshine Fund, she said.
So Mr. Titiniak said that was $450.
Yeah, I think the reimbursement for the gift cards was out of this emergency appropriation. That's the 3,203.
So it was not out of the Sunshine Fund.
I did speak to Ms. Van Dyke, and we did review some of the expenses, and we went back and forth on what was charged to Sunshine Fund. And it was around the same time that they were doing the Thanksgiving stuff, which did come from the Sunshine Fund, but everything related to the Ron Jolin was charged to this account, so that it could be segregated.
But that's all tracked too, isn't the Sunshine Fund, well, is everything she spends, isn't that tracked?
Yeah, Sunshine Fund is tracked. It's just, we didn't find expenses related to Ron Jolin coming out of Sunshine Fund.
So she might have spent it for Thanksgiving, she thought it.
Yeah, again, the timing was the same, so she did have reimbursement out of Sunshine Fund, but we tracked it back to, I think it was the Thanksgiving turkeys or something like that.
So you see the issue,
I have
right?
a question
Yes,
Sorry.
Councilwoman.
for Mr. Moon. So if the township didn't comply with the law, should we not have voted on that ordinance? I'm confused.
I'm actually looking at my own records. I do believe there was an emergency resolution adopted at that time that authorized the incursion of the costs. It's sometime around October 12th, 2021. Yeah. Yeah. So once I gotta find the number, but once I can get the number, I can provide it to the clerk and she can circulate it. But
Sure. Thank you. All right, is there anything else other than ABC hearing?
Councilwoman, you have anything else?
I would like to go back to Mr. Johnston's email. I
Sure.
read it, and he is requesting for specific language change in the ordinance that we currently have. So if legal can get back to us on that, and if the administration can reply to him and let him know that we're working on it.
I can send him an email. That's not,
Yeah.
that's, not-
not a
but
big
this is not for strictly township properties. This is for all bathrooms in the township.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now too, and that's.
I mean, you have to tell business owners to do this?
Correct.
Oh, that's a
No,
little
no, no,
different.
No, that's,
Yeah.
no, that can't happen.
Would
Well,
it be
I'm not
going-
gonna say
would
it
be
can't
going
happen. Let's
forward?
just say we would need to look at that a
Yeah,
little
that's a lot.
differently.
That's a lot.
That's all. It might
Let's
happen.
not just look at it. Let's.
Yeah, let's not say it can't happen. Let's just say that's something we would have to look at from a different lens because that involves every.
Well, that's a bigger
business.
conversation. Yeah.
Absolutely, but I don't want to say it can't happen.
I think
It can
most-
happen.
I
because
think-
most
I mean, it would-
businesses-
I think
You still
most
have to-
places have it anyway.
I think you have
Right.
to give the businesses leeway to do what they see fit. I
mean,
mean,
I
most
know
probably
that-
already have it like that if they have a single bathroom.
We don't know that.
All
so
right, so
we're
You're not
finding
gonna
out.
move to the next council.
Legislate.
I move to adjourn to the ABC hearing.
I have a question. How are we getting the capital budget?
Mr. Titiniak? When are we getting, the question is, from Councilwoman Castellino, when is the capital budget coming?
Capital budget.
So the goal is to introduce a capital ordinance at the November 12th meeting, along with a resolution amending the 6-year capital plan.
And just so you know, because I know it's going to be your first capital budget, we have pictures included with the request from the directors too, so we know exactly, projects that they're looking to do for 2024.
So we'll try to have that for the presentation. Yeah. I'm sure
I
that
mean,
there's some.
presentation, there's some kind of presentation. We need not just a blip of information, but we need like the details of the.
Right, and I think we'll have the directors available to talk about the projects that they're requesting.
That would
and-
be nice.
And we'll
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
we'll
great.
try to have a visual element to it as well.
Okay, thank you.
So adjourn to ABC hearing?
Is there a second?
Well, do we want to enter into the ABC hearing and adjourn the public meeting at this time? Because
Yes.
the ABC doesn't have to be,
Okay, so
Yeah.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
okay.
And
Councilwoman Castellino, Councilwoman Geber Michael,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
yes.
Council President Rutherford.
Yes, vote for one second, Mr. Fagan.
I can't hear Mr. Fagan.
But because you're on Zoom, we're gonna have to have you log back in. Is that where you're going with that?
Or she.
Or call in?
Have her call in.
She could call it.
Yeah, she can call it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm having technical
Councilwoman-
difficulties tonight. Yes, if I end the Zoom meeting, she will be off, so she will have to, Councilwoman Gerber Michael, you have to call by phone.
We'll call you, Councilwoman.
Good night, West Orange.
Night, West
Thank
Orange.
you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.